I hit it twice and it still did it.
The fun just begun.
Good morning.
Look, there's a.
Yeah, I didn't.
Ooh.
No, I didn't have you up because I thought I fixed the board since someone zeroed it and I didn't. So, I mean, I think I got everything else done. So you can have a discussion with your boy. That's all.
I got no interest in being involved in that drama at all.
Well, I haven't. I've been waiting to address it, and I might when I get back from vacation.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Rob Brown radio program. Is on your radios or your tablets or your laptops or your PCs or your cell phones or wherever it is that you might listen to us on a daily basis. We are here. It is go time, my friends. Spectacular
Just begun.
to have you on the show. What is that?
The fun just
Yeah, no, I
begun.
heard it. What is it?
You don't know who it is?
The fun just begun.
Oh, that's Mike. That's Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson. Somebody yesterday was posting all these weird rules for the Mike Tyson.
And you know what we're going to
rules.
do? We're going to be talking about that on Fight Club.
I'm excited.
Yes. Not trying to cut you off or anything, but you know, it's like the number one thing on the rundown for the
I
Fight
had
Club.
no doubt it was going to be.
Okay.
Why would it be anything else?
Well, not everybody has a chance to talk with a boxing expert, someone who worked with Roy Jones and knows all the rules and everything. I have that pleasure. So I'm going to be able to ask every rule about boxing, and you're going to know it. Because not only do you know ball, you know boxing. So, I mean, you know.
I read the rules. One more reason not to watch it. One more reason not to watch the fight. I didn't need another reason to watch the fight, but they gave me one anyway.
Except for the fact you don't have to pay for it. So, I mean.
It's not a reason to watch it.
You're going to watch it.
I am absolutely not going to watch it.
You're going to watch it.
I'm absolutely not going to. I will watch a replay of it if and only if I see on whatever network that Jake Paul's head got knocked off like a rock'em sock'em robot. Then I'll check it out. Outside of that,
so we're not going to do a watch along?
no.
So we can comment on style
You
and
can do
everything?
You have my full approval. You can do it on the Rob Brown Show brand if you'd like.
By the way, I don't need your approval, but I mean, you know, thank you though. But you know, I would appreciate your assistance though, because
Nope.
I mean, you know.
Nope. You're not going to get it. Sorry. It's not happening. Zero.
Not even a chance to critique in the negative.
Nope. I got no need for it. Here's my critique of the negative. Fight a boxer who's not 57 years old. Fight a not 60-year-old man, and then we'll talk. Until then, no. That is my positive critique. Fight a not 57-year-old man. Then we'll talk about you as a boxer. Until then, you're not a boxer, and this is a clown show.
I'm just guessing. Thank you, Dwayne. I'm just guessing that, you know, no matter who he fights, even if it's like the number one contender to the crown, whatever weight class he boxes at, I think is lightweight, bantamweight. I don't know. Anyway, so whatever it is, you still would find a reason to not watch it and to not like it.
Fight a boxer.
Right.
He has fought two boxers.
He is
who are
fighting a
ranked
boxer.
Outside. I'm not doing this with you.
Okay.
I'm not doing it.
You need
I
to
will-
save it.
I will
'cause,
let you
mean,
have your time in the sun for Fight Club.
Wow, thank you
at
for
9:20.
allowing me to. I mean, we could skip it.
Oh no! You're missing entirely. You've run to this part where you think I'm attacking you.
Because you are attacking.
Right,
me.
because you're putting Jake Paul versus a 57-year-old man as the number one item in the Fight Club. We've got WrestleMania in like 2 weeks.
You must chill.
2 weeks, we've got WrestleMania. We've got AEW that has been getting better as of late.
It's on the list.
Let's spend more time on that and less time on not a boxing match.
Okay. All right. Don't get so animated about it. If you make it boring, then the listeners won't want to hear you talk about it.
I don't make anything boring.
was gonna say it's on you. I mean, you're making it a thing. So I mean, now they want to hear it because you made it a thing.
No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. They might think they do, but they don't. I know better than them. I'm like Jerry Jones up in here. I'll tell you what's best for you. And it's not Jake Paul. All right. Ladies, gentlemen, good morning. Hello. A day for positivity, focusing on the wonder and the awe of the sports world today, shall we?
Nope.
Can't even have that. Can't even have. I'm trying to be positive here, and you're gonna Darby that too.
I'm 2 days away from vacation.
Yeah, that's true. The senioritis kicking in hard.
It has nothing to do with senioritis.
It is the definition of senioritis.
What, vacation?
Yeah,
No.
you have senioritis right now.
No, I don't. I have. I'm going to be away from work for a week. Yay!
That's senioritis.
It is not senioritis.
What do you think senioritis is?
That's part of your ageism.
No,
Yes.
it's not. Senioritis is not about being old. Senioritis is like, it comes from senior in high school. You know how like 2 weeks before you graduate, you're like, I'm done with this junk. I don't need to do this anymore.
I knew you were going to spin it
There's
that
nothing-
way.
That is not spin it. That is what the word is.
Yeah, I think if anybody else hears senioritis, they think that.
No,
you're going
literally
at me
no
'cause of
one
my
know
age.
thinks that. That's what the word is. It's
How
from
do you know
senior
what
in high
everyone
school.
else thinks? I don't-
Because that's the commonly accepted use of the word.
Never heard it until now. So I mean, and again, I've been around a lot longer than you. That makes me wiser. And absolutely. And no,
Yes,
it has to do with ageism.
Okay, then it is.
You're right.
You're just changing the definition of a word.
It's more than well, I guess it is one word. Yeah.
Did Brownell do the best, worst Brownelling last night? Days of rest, being blown out in the first game, asking for a friend.
Hear his mighty roar.
Dude.
That's how they played yesterday. Really,
Brad.
hey, Rob, you know, I watched it this morning. I watched a good portion of it this morning, especially like the last part of the second half. They still should go to quarters in college basketball. But wow, what really good defense. That's all I got to say. Really, there's like a stretch of like 6 minutes. There's no scoring on either side. And it's like, okay, is someone going to sink a basket? I mean, you know, is that going to happen? Especially on the Clemson side, because I mean, they got their butts whipped the entire game.
Why are you pooping on a thing that is going like it is the biggest event happening in sports right now? The biggest thing is like less than a week and a half away.
I am consistent, and it is it's a week away.
You are consistent,
isn't it?
Texture says Rob is right about senioritis. I graduated high school in 96 and it was a thing then. It's real. I know I'm right. I appreciate it, Texture. You don't need to tell me. Tell Lonzo.
Well, let me when did you graduate high school?
Me?
Yes.
2003.
So I'm just so you're using a high school term with someone okay. I guess I'm wrong. You know what? I'll be wrong at least 10 times before the show's over. And there's number one at 6:00. It was like 6:06 when I was wrong, I think. So yeah.
Good start to the day.
Yeah, that's fine.
I spent the last, I don't know what, week and a half telling Clemson basketball fans, relax. It's okay. You're in the tournament. You were in the tournament 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. You're in. You're fine. This team is in and still playing well. The couple of losses they took down the stretch, even last night's loss, it was an 18-win basketball team. That's not a bad basketball team in BC. And the first time you played them, they had like 7 players available because they had a locker room bug going around. It's not that you lost. Because those last couple of games, like on the road at Wake Forest, you know who else lost on the road at Wake Forest? Basically everybody else that played on the road at Wake Forest lost on the road at Wake Forest. It's a hard place to play basketball. So it's like, don't panic. Don't worry about it. You're fine. You're in good shape. And then that. Oh.
I think there's only like a handful of actual Clemson basketball fans out there, and they were waiting. They were waiting for this. So how can you go into the tournament with any confidence at all after the last week or 2 weeks of play from Clemson?
The last 2 weeks of play from Clemson, I'm not concerned about. Again, there is not a loss within the last handful of weeks on this team's resume that I would look at and go, that's inexcusable. That's not a loss you can take. These are some decent, actually not sure. I'm not even going to say decent. These are good teams. The only one, if you wanted to say was unacceptable, would have been the road loss at Notre Dame, 69-62.
You know what one more loss does for you, though? You go home. I mean, you make an excuse for all the losses, but one more loss and your season's
over. I don't
over.
disagree. And listen, I'm not sitting here saying like, okay, let's look at it this way. With the Wake Forest game included, this team was 4-2 in their last 6. If you want to add the games before that, then they go 7-3 in the last 10. That's good basketball. 70% of your games being a dub is good basketball. You lost on the road at Notre Dame. If there's one that's inexcusable, it's that one. You lost at home against NC State. That's a team that's advanced in the ACC tournament. You lost on the road at Wake Forest, where 1 out of 17 teams that played there was able to get a win. The problem last night was it was the first game where Clemson looked inept. They looked inept. That style of game, you're the 5-12 upset. You play that style of game that you played against Boston College. You play a game where PJ Hall gets his first rebound like 35 minutes into the game. That's not good enough. It's not. You shot 35%, 4 of 20 from deep, 13 of 27 from the stripe. You got out-rebounded 43-27. PJ Hall had 21 points. He ended the game with 1 rebound. 1 rebound. 1 rebound. It's not good enough. The loss to Wake Forest, excusable. I believe in the concept of a good loss. I know that a lot of you get on your high horse about there's no such thing as a morale victory. But there is. That's why we have a term for it. There is a morale victory. The loss at Wake Forest was a tough L. The loss at Notre Dame was a tough L. Neither one of them were L's that made me think, uh-oh, it's over, it's done. Last night was. Last night was the first loss that this basketball team has taken in a while that I went, that's not it. That's not it. The NC State loss wasn't. The Virginia loss by a point wasn't. Like maybe the Georgia Tech loss was, because at the time they were a 500 ball club. Maybe the loss against Georgia Tech because they ended 14-18. Let's say that's inexcusable. Do you know when that game was? That game was all the way back in what? Mid-January? It's now mid-March. I got to go back to mid-January for the last loss that I went, that team's not good. Until last night. Last night was the first time in a hot minute that I went, you're one and done, dude. You're one and done. Now, I think the guys that were calling the game made a point. This is a team that for the past 3 or 4 seasons, at this point, has been entering this tournament on the bubble, has been entering this tournament playing for their lives. This year, they were not playing for their lives. This year, they already knew we're in. Not only we're in, we're a top 6 seed. We might be a 5 seed because you got a good net, you got good out of conference. We're going to be a 5, maybe a 6 seed. We're already in. And so the question that got asked was, does that kind of take away from the aggression? For a team full of guys that are either A, new, or B, aren't new, but this is the first time in their career that they were a lock before the conference tournament started. Did that kind of take away from the aggression? And if the answer to that is yes, now I got a problem with Brad Brownell. If that team coming into that game last night with an opportunity to win the conference, I don't think they're as good as North Carolina. I don't think they're as good as Duke. But you don't have to be consistently as good as North Carolina or Duke. You got to be as good as North Carolina or Duke one night, maybe two. That's it. I do expect you to be as good as Boston College. Boston College opened up a lead on Clemson, never looked back. And if this is because they came into this game with the mentality of we're already dancing, we already punched the ticket, we're a shoe-in, we're a lock, now I got a problem with Brad.
See, I've heard that with other teams before, that their conference championship doesn't mean as much because they're already dancing. And I don't understand that mentality.
I'm going to be honest, I do.
So your conference championship means nothing.
Not that it means nothing, but it does not mean as much as winning a tournament or reaching a Final Four.
I was going to say, but you know what it also mean? It did me too.
Winning.
I mean, a chance to win some more games. A chance to add another trophy to the case. I'm just saying.
That's again, I get it. What I'm saying is, to me, as a nobody, but to me, as a basketball lover, I would rather my team win the outright regular season title than a tournament. This is the same reason that I have said March Madness is. You ready for a hot take? I got a hot take for you. Let's do some hot take radio.
It's getting hot in here. So hot.
March Madness it's the worst way to crown a national champion. It's the worst way to crown a national champion. It's the worst. It's the most exciting thing in sports is March Madness. For about 7 days at the start of March Madness, it is the best thing. It's the best, but it's a crap way to determine a national champion. It's too many teams. It's too watered down. There are too many opportunities for the best team to have a bad night and get bounced. It's not a great way to determine a national champ. That is why, to me, if you gave me the choice for my team to win an SEC or an ACC regular season, in-season tournament championship or win a conference tournament championship, I'd rather have the regular season championship because that says from week 1 to game 31, you were the best team for the longest amount of time. Whereas a conference tournament, weird stuff happens. Like, I don't know, Cincinnati shooting the lights out of the ball and bouncing the Kansas Jayhawks last night. If I line up Kansas and Cincinnati, Kansas wins that game 80 out of 81 times. I don't know why I picked 80 and 81. It's arbitrary, but whatever. Kansas
should have won
game
56 or 57.
Oh, you would. Kansas wins that game way more times than they don't. And Cincinnati's a good team. But Kansas had a bad night on the floor last night. Bad night shooting the rock. Cincinnati took advantage. Does that make Cincinnati a better club? No, they just had one better night. And I don't like that a national championship can be lost by a worse team having a better night one time. This is why I've said for years, the single best way to hand out a championship is with series. Baseball's playoffs, college and pro, baseball's playoffs are the best playoffs in sports. Basketball right there with them. I've made the argument. The best playoff in sports, in American sports, hand down, is MLS. MLS has the best playoffs in the game. Because there's some weird formatting and structuring stuff that not only makes sure you're playing series, but also genuinely gives an advantage to teams that outperform other teams in the regular season. But man, if you showed up last night, by the way, Texter said, Rob wakes up and finds a way to defend Clemson. Shocker. By the way, it's a moral victory, not a morale victory. Like Clemson, Rob, do better. All right. Texter, lovingly, you may be new to the show. Lonzo and I have broken down that moral victory while it is the common vernacular, is incorrect. It's incorrect. A moral victory. What would that mean? That means I go and I win a game, but I do it the right way? No. Morale victory. That is, how does it impact your morale? Is it a Pyrrhic victory? I went in there and I lost, but we put up the hell of a fight, and you went to 2 Wake Forest that was 16-1 at the house, and you put up a hell of a game and you came up 1 point short. You might look at that and go, yeah, we're disappointed we lost, but hell, we put up a hell of a fight. That's a morale victory because you feel better about yourselves. That's morale, not moral. Now, did I defend Clemson, Texter, or did I literally just say that team didn't want it last night? That team looked like a team that was comfortable. They're just happy to be in the dance. They didn't care about the ACC tournament. They came out there. They were lackadaisical. They were lazy. They were not crashing the boards. They were letting BC do whatever BC wanted to do. And it cost them not just a basketball game, but it cost them a chance at the ACC crown. And that is on Brad. And if that is truly what happened, and I think it was, I'm back out on Brad Brownell. Even with the lock in the tournament, that's a good way to get me to turn on you. To give me a team that clearly doesn't care. Because if you don't care now, and you go and you're one and done in your conference tournament, guys, we're playing March Madness basketball, as Lonzo pointed out, in a week. Tell me, unless Brad Brownell's got the secret sauce, he's got Mike's secret stuff, explain to me how I can believe that the attitude of a basketball team that came in last night and played like they didn't care because they're already in. Well, so how do you turn around the psychology of a basketball team in 1 week when you don't play any basketball between here and the next game? Which, by the way, if you lose the next one, you go home for good.
If you consistently have been able to do that, you can do that. But since you haven't consistently been able to do that, you're probably not going to do that.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is. It's not defending Clemson. It's quite the opposite. I literally just said that's not good enough. Do I care about the ACC tournament championship? Not as much as I care about making a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8 or a Final Four or a college basketball final or a natty. I care about all of those things more. But I still, you got to show me you got some level of intensity, man. You got to show me that I can trust you. You got to show me that I can trust you when the tournament rolls around, because right now, how can I, in any way, shape, or form, believe that when you roll out, and by the way, if you're the 5 seed, you know we're all looking for that 5-12 upset coming down the pipe, right? If you go in as the 5 seed right now, do you understand? You are immediately my pick for the 5-12 upset.
So there is no chance at all that they don't make it
to the tournament?
Yeah.
No, they've been locked in for 2 weeks. They're going dancing. That's a 21-win basketball team in a conference that I think is getting 6 teams in. They will get 5. I think they get 6. There's a very outside chance they get 7. I think 6 is the number. Clemson is absolutely one of them.
And by the way, if you count the play-in games, we're just days away from the beginning of the tournament.
I mean, I do. Why not? They're playing games. They're
it's like Tuesday,
games.
Right?
I think.
Well, let's see. Selection Sunday is on the 17th, and that makes Monday the 18th. Yes, 19th and 20th, so that'll be Tuesday. So the tournament technically starts Tuesday.
Perfect. Don't call me Tuesday night. I'm busy. Don't call me Tuesday night through April 6th. I'm busy every day. Every day. Sunday, March 17th is selection. Sunday, first for the 19th and 20th. And then the first round is March 21st and 22nd. I'm busy. I'm very busy. Very, very, very busy. All right, let's take a break. We'll talk more Clemson basketball as the show rolls on. Wakes up and defends Clemson. And defend Clemson. I did quite the opposite. I said if that's the attitude this team adopted and they don't figure out how to flip the switch between here and next Tuesday, Clemson fans are going to be real, real sad. That's what I said. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I can see from a certain perspective why people would think you sound like you were offended. Because you were putting a positive spin on what's obviously a negative.
Throw me in queue real quick.
What was it like working with Michael Caine as an actor? Is that an Oscar-winning actor?
Oh, I gave him some tips. He was fine.
Michael Caine is fantastic, and I've learned so much from him about acting. Like how to get to the food trolley first, lunchtime.
Phenomenal. Okay, that's all I needed. I just needed Miss Piggy announcing that she gave Michael Caine some tips, and then he was fine.
I didn't realize it was Miss Piggy. Didn't sound like Miss Piggy. Maybe Frank Oz had a cold that day. I think Frank Oz does Piggy, doesn't he?
I think. Also, Muppets Christmas Carol, best Christmas movie about.
Pre-spring in South Carolina means using the AC during the day and the heater at night. When your HVAC unit stops working, you need a company you can trust. Priority Heating and Air HVAC specialist will give your system a thorough checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business comfortable and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or find them online. Priority Heating and Air HVAC.com.
Hey everybody, it's Boomer Esiason here, and eBay Motors has everything you need to keep your ride or die alive. From superchargers, brakes, exhaust kits, and more. With over 122 million parts, eBay Motors levels your baby up to its...
I'm racking my brain trying to remember how to do that job that I've been
Tasked with.
Well, I've got technically a couple months. We have like 3 games coming up that we're carrying. So after that, I've got a couple months to refresh myself. I'm sure I'm surrounded by people willing to help. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people. I'm talking
I am
about
willing to help.
No, I know, but you
okay.
you don't know how to do it. And
That
that's
is also true.
yeah. So I mean like engineering and the boss and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to ask a certain person to remind me how to do it though.
Based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you can save money. Good to know. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
Coming up on a Thursday episode of
Are you sure? You didn't sound like you were sure about what day it was. I'm just saying.
And we'll highlight X factors for success on the football field for Clemson at South Carolina 2024. Number 1.
Wow.
Afternoon Sports Talk.
Offsides with
I'm surprised because I thought they were being
Talk to Robin Lonzo, 844 fan phone.
The fun just begun.
Dude, I don't. When we're coming back on the air. So I've told you guys, I'm in a very frustrating spot right now because not only did the new model of my phone roll out, but I'm like 2 bills away from paying this one off and just owning the phone outright, which means my cell phone bill is going down like, $30-something a month. And wouldn't you know it, shockingly, all of a sudden, my phone has just started acting weird, right? The screen's flickery, and every now and puts on like a 1980 psychedelic neon light show for me. And
cool.
It's randomly starting to ask itself and answer questions.
That's an AI takeover problem.
That's a new one as we were coming back from break and the bumper's playing and the bite drops. And I look down at my phone and it says, how many calories are in an apple? Who the hell asked you? First off, who asked you? A, and B, how does yes, my phone knows I'm fat and need to probably go with the old apple a day. But not right now, phone. Like, I know I'm trying, all right? It's been nothing but chicken, broccoli, and cauliflower for me for 2 weeks. And now my phone randomly goes, hey, fatty, try an apple, you piece of crap.
So did you pay attention to how many calories are in an apple?
I did not. I cut it off. I was like, I don't want to know. I don't know. Here's the other thing. Through this weight loss journey that I'm on, where I'm trying to, my problem is Lonzo has
There are 95 calories in an apple, by the way.
perfect. As Lonzo can attest, Rob Brown has a distinct lack of self-control in most situations. Distinct lack of self-control. If I like a thing and I like to do a thing, I'm going to do that thing as often and for as long as possible.
Addictive personality, maybe?
Maybe.
I
mean, I don't think I'm addicted to anything, but the things that I like,
except for spinning your pen. Spinning your pen.
That's true. I know I should stop. I can't. Okay. So, like, I know this about me. So I am trying to learn to be a better eater, like psychologically, like rewiring your brain to think about food differently. Like right now, I am attempting to trick myself into believing that broccoli is as good as chocolate. It's not, but I'm trying to rewire the brain into thinking it is.
Broccoli is excellent, but if you eat too much of it, there's a roughage that gathers in your bowels, and it will cause you to be in a bad mood for an entire week.
Here's the bad thing about broccoli.
I'm just saying.
That's not even the bad thing about broccoli. The bad thing about broccoli is, how broccoli's at its best? When it's smothered in cheddar cheese. Broccoli and cheese is undefeated.
I like broccoli in like a stir fry or something like that. I mean, when it's mixed with other things.
And what I am learning here is that everything you think is healthy isn't. I was talking not terribly long ago to a nutritionist, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna eat healthier. I do like fruit a lot. Big fruit guy. A
lot of natural sugars in fruit, and that you would not believe.
I thought, as I've been taught by everyone ever my whole life, fruits and veggies, what they really mean is veggies, and like a grape. That's what they mean by fruits and veggies. They mean all the broccoli and cauliflower and carrots you can handle, and then you may treat yourself to like one slice of an apple every other month. It sucks, dude. Getting healthy sucks.
Eat green beans in every meal.
I'm not kidding. It has been every night for dinner for like 2 weeks now has been 3 air-fried chicken breast tenderloins and 1 cup of broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. That's my life now. And I'm hoping that one day I'm going to pull them out of the air fryer, pull them out of the steamer, and go, this is great. This is great. This is a wonderful dinner. But it's been 2 weeks, and all I want is like a huge chunk of 7-layer cake.
By the way, is Russ signed yet?
You know what? That's a good question. I didn't think about that. I haven't seen the news become official yet.
Because I owe you once he signs.
You do.
But you said I can't pay up, because you can't eat anything right now. So I would tell you the place I was going to take you has grilled chicken, and
I do not listen. I am not getting a lunch bet paid off with a grilled chicken breast and broccoli. No.
Why?
No.
Why?
I am going to order the gnarliest burger on the menu.
They got some good ones.
The gnarliest of gnarly on the menu. I am not seeing an official signing as of yet. I will say this. ESPN has him listed as the Steelers QB1 on their official depth chart. So
because he should have signed yesterday, right? I thought yesterday you were allowed to sign.
Yesterday was the day, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if he had signed and it just had to, like, it just wasn't official until yesterday, because everywhere I'm looking has Russell Wilson listed as a Steeler. But I do need it to be like official.
I don't.
That's true.
That counts. I did it again. Travis, according to people.com, Travis Kelce hypes up Russell Wilson after the QB signs with Steelers. So I mean, People Magazine thinks that he signed. But
let's see here. I'm looking at the Steelers official website and QB. I don't see him on there yet. I don't know, man. I got a lunch on the line. Come on, Steelers, get it done. What are we doing here? Let's get this done. Rob's hungry.
Or it's so insignificant that they don't care. I mean, or it's like a given that it was going to happen, so they're just.
Now, see, I did not think that at 6:35 in the morning I was going to be looking through the official Steelers transaction report. He's not on there yet. Release safety Keanu Neal with the designation of failed physical. Signed free agent nose tackle Brandon Fehoko. Release cornerback Patrick Peterson. Wow. I didn't even know he was on the Steelers. And wide receiver Allen Robinson II. Acquired Dante Jackson in a 6th round with the Carolina Panthers for Deontay Johnson and a 2024 7th round selection. So I guess not official yet. He's agreed to the deal, but not signed it. All right.
So I technically haven't lost yet.
You technically haven't lost yet. Correct. You have only another month and a half to wait. You got to hope Russ forgets to check his mail until like April 25th.
Who knows? Could be a physical thing.
April 25th is opening. Yeah, I was right. April 25th.
Maybe he is not passing his physical or something. Who knows?
Mike Thomas got cut for not passing his physical.
Well, just not being able to complete a season might have had something to do with that. Would you pick him up if you're another team?
Hell yeah.
But
Slant God? Absolutely.
with as injury prone as he is?
Yes. Yes. Because right now, you're probably not going to have a ton of competition for him. You're probably going to get him on a pretty favorable contract. And I don't need him to scratch that. Let me be clear. If I can make him a wide receiver 2, if I can make him a slant guy. Now, if he's going to demand to be wide receiver 1, then no. But if I could get him as a wide receiver 2, if I could pay, I'll put it this way. Since you got to bring everything back local, let's do it. Carolina ought to make that move. He's going to be, I think, relatively cheap. Not just because of what he is, but also because of the fact that I think with all the drama behind the scenes and the fact that he's out there tweeting about how awful his own quarterback is during games that he's not playing in, I think a lot of other teams probably stay away from Michael Thomas. I would go Deontay at the 1, Mike Thomas at the 2, Adam Thielen in the slot, TMJ as my red zone specialist, and you're in good shape. Now, you do find yourself in a bit of trouble. You are correct. If Mike Thomas is going to miss significant time due to injury, but that's true of literally every starting player in the NFL. So I don't know. Yes, I would give Mike Thomas a workout. 100%. If he's willing to sign on for a good price and if he's willing to run as a wide receiver 2. I'm not bringing him in as a lead guy anymore. He's past that point. But if I can get him for cheap and it's not going to cost me $1 billion, then yeah, I'd make that move. Absolutely. Why wouldn't you? All right, so Mike Thomas is out there, by the way, and we'll see where he ends up at. I still think Carolina, as we have said a number of times, I still think Carolina is going probably wide receiver. I don't know what you do with the second pick. I think wide receiver is my priority. You've kind of addressed you've addressed the offensive line. Unless there is a guy at the center position that you heavily value that falls down the board, then I'm probably going wide receiver. I still might go offensive line. I still might go try to find a right tackle. Icky on the left tackle. Lewis and Hunt at the guards. Yeah, I think you got to go center or right tackle. Probably center to be up front, to be honest with you.
If they keep signing free agents on defense, you're not going to have to worry about that. So, I mean, yeah.
I got Deontay at the wide receiver spot, too. I don't know. I'll say this. You said it on, yesterday morning? Felt real bad about the Panthers on Monday morning. Felt a lot better about the Panthers on Wednesday.
Someone needs to help Luke Combs out, though, because he's still not buying it.
Yeah, you know what? I need to get Luke on the show. I need to talk to my guy. All right. I'm a big Luke Combs guy, by the way. Luke Combs, phenomenal.
He sings country or something. I think.
Does. Luke Combs, phenomenal. Love Luke Combs. Great, great guy. Good artist. His appreciation for Tracy after Fast Car went big, his cover of it. Like, and by the way, just go listen to some Luke Combs later in the day. If you got any love for country music in your heart, Luke Combs is phenomenal. Big Panthers fan from the Carolinas. I need to see if we can reach out and get Luke on the show. He's been doing the media tour. Need to see if we can get Luke on. Because I think I can talk some optimism into my guy. I think I can help him out a little bit. But like I said, the optimism comes if you're a Panthers fan. The optimism comes once you come to the realization and the acceptance that you're going to suck again this year. That you're going to have to put one more year of this sucks into this team. And then in 2025, that's where it gets turned around.
Oh, no. The Panthers lost Giovanni Ricci.
From Imperium? All right.
No, he's actually he was a tight end for the Panthers. You're looking him up because you don't believe me.
No, I mean, I know he was.
Yeah.
Is it
45?
Okay, we got to take a break. When we come back here in just a minute from here, we have got a big developing story in college football we got to get to. Philly and Indianapolis have both proposed enormous rule changes across the National Football League. We're going to address that. We'll take a deep dive now that it is starting to slow down a little bit. We'll take a deep dive into the NFL's free agency. Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, said there should be optimism about the PGA Tour. What about, you might ask? And he didn't say. So we'll talk about his comments. And Captain Kirk Cousins, has spoken out for the first time since his signing with the ATL. We'll talk about that and more. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show. It's all coming up on the Fan Upstate.
So I sent you Giovanni Ricci's picture on Twitter so you can look at him and realize who he is. He wasn't a starter. He appeared in some games, though. And his name really stands out. So,
it does.
It's
a good name. Good, strong Italian.
Boston College knocked off Clemson 76-55. Wake Forest 72-59 winners over Notre Dame. Florida State beat Virginia Tech 86-76. MEAC quarterfinals. NC Central over Maryland Eastern Shore 87-80.
MEAC quarterfinals. Just some of that.
For Furman Paladins basketball, play-by-play live all season long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
On today, I'd say traffic looks like we do have a minor crash, not much of a backup there. It's a very, very minor delay. Southbound I-385 at the exit to Roper Mountain Road is there on the exit ramp itself. So we see a fraction of a delay, not that bad. Also construction, Woodruff Road at Roper Mountain Road. They're doing safety improvements there. So you've got at least one lane block. So looks great across I-35. No issues there between I-101 and White Road. From the News Talk 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm on Eastern on the Fan, upstate.
You've heard about the thousands of patients finally getting relief from chronic joint pain thanks to QC Kinetics non-invasive treatments. And here's one who is determined to avoid surgery. Meet Vicky.
The orthopedic surgeon said, well, you're going to need knee replacement sooner rather than later. I kept hearing commercials about
Perceptual or psychological rather than tangible or practical in nature effect. Apparently, moral victory is sanctioned.
Chose a more natural, less invasive approach that uses regenerative treatments to help heal and restore painful joints with no downtime.
if QC Kinetics had not been what I expected, I would have gone through with the surgery, but I got so much.
Texter just texted Clemson, parentheses, cue multiple meows here.
You need to check out QC Kinetics. The consultation is free. Call today.
Call QC Kinetics. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
Yes, when my new cat meows at home, I just laugh and think Clemson.
In nursing and health sciences. It's where more South Carolina students have access to higher education than ever before. Because when you stand for something bigger than yourself, you can create something that benefits us all. Behold, the remarkable we.
I'm James, senior apparel designer, and this is behind the design with Hawks. Hawks is your classic workwear brand. It's designed for those guys that are on the job site. It's proven performance, is rugged and comfortable. Speaking of durability,
Got home yesterday and decided it was too nice of a day to not go out and start on my yard work for next week. And so I went out and worked for about an hour.
What's keeping you from learning the language you've always wanted to speak? Too hard?
Clean out half of a flower bed.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's interactive lessons, podcasts, games, and more make learning fun. Fun isn't hard. Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
Discovered that I can't find my yard scissors. I don't know what they're called, so I just call them yard scissors.
Clippers?
Yeah, but when I think clippers, I think like electric clippers that you trim the verge with.
Let's see. Talking about like the two-handed ones?
Yeah.
Lopper or pruner? Or garden shears? Garden shears. I think that's the one I've heard before.
Yeah, but those, so I just looked up lawn scissors and they're showing me the little tiny handheld ones. These are the take out saplings with, that type of thing.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is the Fan Upstate. There are some proposed rule changes in the National Football League. One of them is a proposed change to the onside kick rule. We kind of knew this was coming down the pipe. Now we know what it's going to look like. The Philadelphia Eagles have put forth a rule change proposal that would permit a team to maintain possession after a score if they convert a 4th and 20 offensive play from their own 20-yard line. Traditional onside kicks have begun to decline predominantly because of the difficulty in, doing that, especially after the NFL has tightened up on rules for kickoff coverage and returns. In 2023, there were 41 onside kick attempts. The kicking team was able to successfully recover 2 of them, which is not very many. But there's a reason for that, and the reason for that is it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be a small miracle.
Yeah, but they made something that was already difficult more difficult.
Oh, for sure.
For safety reasons, now they're trying to figure out a way to make it. I don't know.
That's exactly correct. It's exactly correct. And to be honest with you, I don't have an issue with it. I don't have an issue with it either way. I don't have an issue with leaving it as it is. I also don't have an issue with going for the 4th and 20, and whatever the result of the play is, that's where the defense gets the ball back.
Let's be honest. Most of us play video games. And when we play video games, how often do you punt?
Never punt. Hashtag never punt.
Yeah, it's a video game mentality. Why punt? They're professionals. Find a way to get a first down.
You don't punt because 4th and 20 is tough to do. 4th and 20 is tough to do. That's why we don't punt when we are playing Madden. Thanks, EA Sports. I remember being able to play Madden. The reality is everybody in the NFL punts on 4th and 20 unless it's we have to make it or we lose. And I assume that would kind of be the case here. You're probably only going to go for this if it's 4th and 20, you're going to, and if you don't get it, you're going to lose. Or if you have Tyreek Hill, that's pretty much it.
If it's 4th and 20 and you're like on the 50, I mean, go for it.
There might be a spot here and there.
If you don't have that strong-legged kicker that can kick like 65 yarders.
Even still, I'd rather have a punter who can coffin corner a team. That's a huge weapon. This is why, all the McAfee jokes aside, if I was a GM of a team, I would always be on the hunt to get the best possible punter. Coffin corner kicking is a lost art, but it's an incredibly valuable tool if you got it. But as far as this proposed rule change goes, I don't have an issue. I don't think you are going to. Here's what I'll say. I would be willing to bet that the new rule change would be effective to the degree that it would likely have a success rate somewhere in the same margin as the onside kick success rate had before all the new kick return rules went into place. I do think you would probably see a success rate that is better than 2 out of every 41 efforts, but I don't think it would be dramatically higher. I think it would probably be somewhere more in the range of 5 out of every 41 efforts. It's not like it's going to get to a point where we never see a team starting from deep in their territory after a kickoff return because every team is going out there and is trying to get the 4th and 20. I don't think it is going to have a success rate. If the success rate is, say, 50%, I think you would see a lot more. It's not going to be 50%. It's still going to be 10% maximum, right? I'm thinking instead of 2 out of 41, it's 5, maybe 6 out of every 41 is going to be successful. But I don't have an issue with trying it out. I don't have an issue with putting it into play for a year. I don't have an issue with trying it out. I think it is I certainly think it's a good way to make those situations more exciting, right? I think onside kicks have kind of lost their excitement a little bit because, let's be real, they're not successful.
And no one really tries them anymore. So, I mean, I guess you're obligated to do it when you're.
The only onside kicks that are exciting anymore are when they're surprise onside kicks. Saints in the Super Bowl onside kicks. But keep in mind, because of the rules, you can't really do that anymore. And one of the proposed rules was the new kickoff alternative, the XFL rule, which would 100% eliminate surprise onside kicks. Couldn't do it all anymore. So I think if you accept this, if you go in this direction, you are, number one, creating a much more exciting play. Number two, you're also going ahead and making the announcement, yeah, we are indeed at some point in the near future, not this year, but maybe next year, switching to the XFL kickoff return rules, which I don't have a problem with. And I don't have a problem with it in this case and doing it this way, because I kind of want to know what the success rate is, what the entertainment value of the 4th and 20 effort is. If the 4th and 20 effort is wildly entertaining and brings the success rate up from 4.5% where it currently is to, 9, 10%.
So doubling it. Okay.
I mean, I really think it could. I think it could double it. But again, that's going to bring it back to kind of where the onside kick success rate was back before the kickoff rules. So I think if this makes it exciting, if this makes it a strategic move, I also love the concept. Think about it. Put it this way. What if, great one, what if your team goes on like a 15-play, 87-yard scoring drive that eats up 7-8 minutes of clock? You look over at that defense on that touchdown play, and they're winded. They're gassed. They're out, right? This team, they built a big corn-fed Midwest-style defense, and they are absolutely gassed. I might go for it 4th and 20 if I got a Tyreek, right? And now all of a sudden, by the way, now there's an edge for teams to always go find that speedster wide receiver, that guy that runs the 9 route and puts up a 4.21 40. Now all of a sudden those guys are even more valuable to the game. And now in the end, a team might go, hey, this defense is on its heels. It's gas. Their offense is ineffective. Let's try to put the dagger in. Let's go get a 4th and 20, put the dagger in this thing. I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like the concept. You know what else I like? When Lonzo reads us some of the most important sports news stories of the day in a sports flash.
Starting with the very most important thing, Clemson's bid for an ACC title lasted just 40 minutes thanks to a 76-55 loss to Boston College last night. BC jumped out to an early lead and never relented while Clemson struggled just about everywhere on the floor. Clemson will get ready for the tournament while Boston College takes on Virginia in the 3rd round today. South Carolina's men's basketball team has their opponent, and it is the Arkansas Razorbacks, not Razorbacks. That's a totally different thing. Who outlasted Vanderbilt yesterday in overtime, 90-85. The Commodores hit a buzzer beater to tie it, but committed one too many turnovers in OT, despite shooting better than 50% from the floor and 40% from deep. Arkansas meets the Gamecocks at 3:30 this afternoon. Hey, you know what? Another sturdy hour of the Rob Brown Show continues right here on the Fan Upstate. My words don't work for me. I need enunciation exercises. Daggum Razorbacks. Now I want Raisin Bran with some bacon on the side. I don't think you could put the bacon in the Raisin Bran. That would probably not be good. But it is bacon, so you never know.
Let's go Razorbacks.
I know. I was just, wondering if you have Raisin Bran with bacon on the side, what happens if you just go ahead and put the bacon in the Raisin Bran? I mean, put bacon on donuts. Why can't you put it in Raisin Bran?
I love bacon on donuts. I miss donuts.
try to take out words that I know I'm going to fumble with. Razorbacks was not something I thought would be a problem. Yeah. Well, I mean, I thought it was good. Now I'll probably say Razorbacks on purpose the rest of the way. Why is like the backdrop so much bigger on them? It's like they were in front of a building or something. Maybe the wide shot, they had to do it that way in order to get all three of them in, and that made it taller. I don't know. QC in the first break.
QC in the first break.
That's the wrong thing. What are you doing? Caught my mistake before I made it. Yeah.
Oh, it's buzzer beater season.
As Nick Saban said, and now I will hear it in my head forever. What are we doing?
Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good, Corey. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown radio program is on the air. Excellent to have you, my dudes and dudettes, as we roll through another 4 hours of sports talk entertainment at an above mediocre rate.
Well, we got 3 hours left.
Right, but we are in the process of rolling through 4 of them.
Yeah, but okay.
We only have 3 remaining, but we do have 4. We only have 3 left. Wait, you get it. Welcome back, friends. Good to have you. I am Rob Brown. That other guy, that's the voice of the great one, Lonzo. On the ones and twos, the alpha and the omega of the fan upstate.
Lonzo is a superstar.
Whether in your mind or his, it is true.
To say a phrase that's said many times on this show: yours, mine, ours. Also, you're welcome.
Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844-326-3663. If you want to pop on the air with us, now's a wonderful time to do it. You may shoot us a text on the text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the radio broadcast. You may tweet, X, post us, whatever you prefer, by giving us a tweet at The Rob Brown Show. You may shoot us a tweet at Lonzo on Word. You may shoot us a tweet to everybody up in here at The Fan Upstate if you want to come at us in that direction. And, of course, my email inbox is always open to all of you. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. rob.brown@thefanupstate.com if you'd like to jump on in that direction. It is officially 7:03 in the morning, which means you are less than an hour away from clocking into work if you got one of them real jobs. And if you got one of them real jobs, at some point you're going to take a break. And when you're going to take that break, you're going to want to talk sports with your coworkers. And if you want to talk sports with your coworkers, you got to know what's going on in the world of sports. You got to know the most important things going on in the world of sports. And those things are these things as we do this.
The fun just begun. Winning.
It is the water cooler cheat sheet, friends. The top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you go start talking sports around the water cooler with your coworkers. Let's dive right in with item number 1. Clemson's quest for an ACC conference tournament championship lasted just 40 minutes as they fell to the Boston Eagles last night. 19-14 are the Eagles after they knock off the Clemson Tigers 76-55. It went poorly, as that old guy from the Indiana Jones movie once said.
You think Boston College fans are offended that you said Boston Eagles and didn't say Boston College Eagles?
Sorry, the Boston College Eagles.
I'm just curious if they get offended if you.
I don't know. I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't think I've ever met a Boston College fan. And I'm not saying that to be like, haha, funny. I mean, I literally don't think I've ever met a Boston College fan in my life. What I do know is that the Boston College fans woke up today quite excited about what happened yesterday evening as they knocked off the now 21-11, 11-9 in conference Clemson Tigers. It went real poorly for Clemson last night. PJ Hall ended the game with a single rebound. That's not good enough. This was a game that was expected to be, and for a while was, a matchup of two really, really good big men. Quentin Post, who ended up with 11 points, 8 boards, 7 assists, and a block, versus PJ Hall, who ended up with 21 points, but only 1 rebound, 0 assists, 0 steals, and 1 block. Not the best night for PJ Hall, unfortunately. On top of that, Clemson was not very good from the floor. 19 of 54 for 35%. They were 4 of 20 from behind the arc. On the flip side, defensively speaking, they allowed Boston College to shoot over 43% on 25 of 58. They allowed Boston College to shoot 34.5% from deep, going 10 of 29. And Boston College went a perfect 16 of 16 from behind the stripe. Everything came up aces for the Eagles last night. Clemson, I asked the question earlier in the show, and I wonder which of these things is true. Was it we kind of saw the beginning of the annual tradition, as Clemson fans have told me is the case, of Brownelling? Or is it because of the fact that the Clemson Tigers came into this game knowing already that they were in the tournament? Did they come into this game perhaps complacent? Did they come into this game a little lackadaisical because they already knew they were going dancing? Is that a possibility? To me, the answer is, yeah, that's absolutely a possibility. I'm not going to say it's a probability. I don't know. What I am going to say is, if that turns out to be the case, I hope against hope that Brad Brownell knows this team really well. I hope he knows this team's fears, their hopes, their joys. I hope he knows everything about them, because it is going to take something. It is going to take something to trigger this team not to have that same attitude, not to have that same mentality next week when the tournament gets started. Because this team, if this team that played last night rolls out and they are the 5 seed, they will be that vaunted 12-5 upset that happens every single year. If the team that played, or maybe I should say didn't played Boston College last night, is the team that Brad brings into the big tournament in a week, it could go real bad. We're going to talk about that more as the show rolls on. Clemson's bid for an ACC tournament championship gone. How would Lonzo, how do you think Heather would describe Clemson's ACC hopes if I asked her?
Poof.
Yeah, that's probably fair. That's probably fair. Item number 2. It has been an ongoing discussion what the future of college football might look like. It has been an ongoing discussion what the new revenue sharing plan might look like, what the new governing structure of college football might eventually look like. And Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports is reporting that we might have an answer sooner rather than later. Dellinger reports that the college football playoff is inching closer to finalizing its agreement for the future. The reason that we had the hold off was because, and this is going to come to the shock of absolutely nobody, was because the presidents of the Atlantic Coast Conference and the Big 12 were not on board with the plans that were proposed. Part of the reason why? The plans that were proposed saw a huge revenue advantage being handed to the Big Two, that is the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference. But apparently, there's been enough tinkering around that the presidents of the ACC and the Big 12 have voted to authorize their commissioners to adopt the future framework related to a new college football playoff, including a new revenue model and concepts around a playoff format, all of which will be part of a new contract with ESPN. Those with knowledge of the discussions, according to Dellinger, spoke to Yahoo Sports under the condition of anonymity. Dellinger describes the two leagues as most resistant to the deal. Their presidential vote was viewed as a significant hurdle that has been crossed to reach the agreement. The Big 12 and ACC votes were unanimous, according to the source. The CFP Management Committee, the 10 FBF conference commissioners, and Notre Dame's athletic director are expected to meet over the next few days in a gathering that should produce some finality on what's been a long, dramatic march to the playoffs future beginning in 2026. Each conference and Notre Dame will be asked to either commit or not commit to the new college football framework. And apparently, the expectation pending the approval from each conference presidential board is that all 10 conferences will commit to, most notably, a new revenue distribution model, parameters around a playoff format, and new governance structure. Notre Dame is, according to sources, supportive of the framework. Last Friday, Yahoo Sports reported that a proposal for a new revenue distribution model that was heavily weighted towards the Big Ten and Southeastern Conference may have been tinkered with enough to get the smaller conferences on board. In the past structure, the five major conferences mostly split evenly 80% of the CFP's $460 million in expected revenue. The new contract with ESPN is expected to be worth, do you guys remember what I said? I said between $1.3 and $1.5 billion. $1.3 billion is the expected revenue when it's all said and done. In the proposal socialized with administrators over the past 10 days, the Big Ten and SEC would combine to earn 58% of the CFP's base distribution. The figure would greatly exceed the ACC and Big 12's combined distribution number, which is expected to be around 32%. The remaining amount, about 10%, will be distributed in Notre Dame and the 64 group of 5 teams. The difference in distribution between the two sets of conferences, that is the Big Two, the SEC and the Big Ten, and the ACC and the Big 12, could be as much as $300 million or more. The Power Two stand to earn a combined figure that should eclipse $700 million, far more than the expected $400 million of the ACC and the Big 12, while roughly $115 million is slotted for the group of 5. That vote should take place sometime in the next 2 weeks. We will stay ear to the ground and attached to this story as it develops, and we will be talking about it later in the radio broadcast. But before we get there, let's get to item number 3. And multiple NFL rules proposals are on the table as the NFL Rules Committee has accepted proposals from a number of teams. Now, the overwhelming majority of the rules proposals are relatively minor. Some of them things that most fans would not even notice, but there are 2 that are very dramatic. The Philadelphia Eagles proposed one. We talked about it in the last hour. If you missed that conversation, You can go to thefanupstate.com, go to the podcast tab, drop it down, click on the Rob Brown Show, and listen to the last hour of the show, which is already up because Lonzo is a superstar. So we won't get too heavy into that. Suffice to say, there is a proposed change to the onside kick rule. That is to say, they wouldn't exist anymore. If a team wanted to go for an onside kick from this point forward, they would get the ball after a score on their own 20-yard line, and they would have it 4th and 20. The end result of that play would be a regular play. If the defense was to stop the 4th and 20, wherever it was stopped, that team would take over. If the offense successfully completed the 4th and 20, then it would be first down, that team moving forward. But the big rule change, and the one that I am going to talk about at length in the next segment, is this. The Indianapolis Colts proposed allowing coaches to challenge any foul that has been called on the field in addition to the existing menu of plays they are already eligible to challenge. The NFL has traditionally stayed away from challenging subjective decisions, and there has been only one season in the history when any foul, let alone all of them, was part of replay review. That was back in, you will remember, 2019, when pass interference was added to the list for a one-year experiment that was not renewed by owners in 2020. Now, there are some other rule changes that have been proposed. The Detroit Lions submitted a rule change that would allow coaches to have a third challenge if one of their first two challenges is successful. Right now, you get a third challenge if both of your first two challenges are successful. The Lions have said, hey, if you get one right, you should get that one back. The Buffalo Bills want the NFL to allow practice squad quarterbacks to be eligible to serve as the emergency third quarterback on game days. The current rule requires that the third quarterback be a part of the 53-man roster. The Pittsburgh Steelers proposed moving the trade deadline back 1 week to after week 9. In a separate proposal, 6 other teams suggested moving it back until after week 10. The Jacksonville Jaguars would like the NFL to make available the Hawkeye replay feed in the coach's booth rather than only in the replay booth. And the Eagles hope to see game clocks display tenths of seconds in the final minute of each half. We will address these potential rule changes coming up in the very next segment because some of them are very good and some of them are not so much that. I will tell you which is which in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion when we come back after this break, a break that we go to now. The Great One Lonzo, the Alpha and the Omega of the Fan Upstate on the ones and twos. My name is Rob Brown. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the 4-hour sports talk entertainment extravaganza that is the Rob Brown Show. This is the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, got a live read. Y'all stay right there. We will be right back. He would love that.
King, we're inviting you to join us on the Give Me the Hot Sauce podcast. So join us every week here in the Hot Sauce Studios, where we'll be talking about basketball, football, MMA, entertainment, and unique viewpoints.
Hot Sauce Studio.
Experts having a few brews. That's right. Listen up on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
Sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know there's a better way to do things. Like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate.
Down.
Find out to save time and money. Visit allstate.com or call for a quote today.
Coming up on a Thursday episode of Offsides with Mark, Ryan, and Diesel, might a very first Clemson Tigers be in the Carolina Panthers future? A strategic edge for Clemson against the ACC.
Oh, what's she gonna do today?
Will highlight excellence.
That's still over on the front part, but she's got it straighter. Bumper's still over that line.
One of our coworkers legit almost stopped because he was full tire over the line into the spot I was in. I could not get in my driver's side. He came out, and I was like, dude, please let this one down. Thanks. Because if he'd have said anything, it'd have been our first thing. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Spectacular to have you with us. Let's talk about these proposed NFL rule changes. NFL teams putting forth their proposals. Let's start with the one. We talked about the onside kick rule change. Let's talk about the one put forward by the Indianapolis Colts. They have proposed allowing coaches to challenge any foul that has been called on the field in addition to the existing menu of plays they are eligible to challenge. The NFL has traditionally stayed away from challenging subjective decisions, and there has been only one season in its history when any foul, let alone all of them, was part of replay review. That was obviously back in 2019 when pass interference was added to the list for that one-year experiment, an experiment that failed, depending on who you ask.
I remember having an argument with someone who's, I believe, still on the station, saying that there's no way it would make it past a year, and it didn't. That was just to appease certain fan bases.
Gosh, who might they be speaking about?
Certain fan bases, and to purposefully make it not work, which they purposefully seem to make it not work.
I'm really glad you said that because I have said that before, and I have been accused of being a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, no, not that. There's no way this thing by Indy would work because it would slow the game down too much. They did everything they can do to make the game be faster. Why would they go backwards and make it slower?
So
even if it's supposed, and it could in certain circumstances make the game better because they would correct the mistake, but speed might be more important than that.
I've heard that mentioned a number of times, and I would like to point out a couple of things. Number one, we did a bunch of stuff in college football, remember, to make the game faster. We don't stop the clock anymore in most situations unless it's inside of that 2 minutes. We tried a whole bunch of stuff to make the game faster, and it succeeded to some degree, except for, you will all know, they just replaced the time we got back with what? More advertisements. This has, let's call it what it is, this has never been about making games faster. This has been about making broadcast faster so that we can fit more television revenue in. That's all this is about. So let me make this, let me reach a nice little compromise between all parties here. Here's the compromise that Rob Brown proposes. The compromise that Rob Brown proposes is this. Everything can indeed from this point be challenged. Everything counts again against the coaches 3 challenges. You still only get 3, and you only get 3, and you only get 3 if the first 2 are successful. Now, you will remember that currently, as it stands right this particular moment, a coach has to get both right to get 3. Now, there is a rule proposal on the table that if a coach gets 1 right, he gets it back, but you still only get a maximum of 3 per game. So let's do this. Let's say that you can indeed challenge anything, even the subjective calls. And what we do is we have a panel of officials in New York City. This will not take that long. And in front of this panel is one big-ass TV. I got one in my house. I'll let you borrow it, NFL. I know you're hard up for money.
You won't do that.
No, I won't. I paid too much for that, and it's 75 inches. You can't have it. Get your own. So you get 5 officials who have to be approved by team ownership. All of them, 32. You got to get, 20 of them to say yes to each of the 5. Just like we do with most, court appointments, et cetera, et cetera. Then you get 5 of these guys, you stick them in New York City, you put a big TV in front of them. And every time that a coach challenges a call, you play it on that big TV in front of these 5. And if 3 of the 5 vote to overturn, it's overturned. And here, I'll make you happy, NFL, since you want to speed the game up. All challenges must be not like, the NBA does it where they go, you go 30 seconds and then it takes 22 minutes. That replay television will only replay it whatever angle that 5-man committee wants to see, right? They'll have a tablet just like mine, and they can click on it and say, I want to see this angle, that angle, this angle. But after 60 seconds, the TV shuts off. If they haven't reached a consensus, not even a consensus, 3 out of 5. Hell, make it 4 out of 5. Make it a super majority. If 4 out of 5 have not agreed to overturn the call after 60 seconds, the TV shuts off, the call stands. And during that 60 seconds, NFL, you can play a commercial and make money.
At what point does this start? Does the 60 seconds start? Does it start immediately when the flag is thrown?
I would say red flag hits the dirt. By the way, with the technology that we have, that panel, unless there are multiple challenges happening around the league at the same time, which is a risk I'm willing to take, it'll take 60 seconds. I would say the red flag hits the field, the official makes the announcement.
Philadelphia is challenging the ruling on the play of a bleep.
Whatever it is. And as soon as he's done with that announcement, that 75-incher and the tablets that control it in New York City activate. 60 seconds are on a little screen on the bottom. They start rolling. These guys have 60 seconds to look at all the replays and make a decision. If 4 out of 5 agree it's overturned, it's overturned. If 3 or fewer, then it's not overturned. We stand on the subjective calls, holding, pass interference, etc. If 4 out of 5 agree, we overturn it. But from the moment the flag hits the turf and the announcement is made by the official, 60 seconds to get her done. If that 60 seconds happens while a challenge is happening elsewhere in the league, oh gosh, it's going to take 120 seconds. But here's the compromise. I will go back to a coach has to get 2 challenges right to get a third. Not 1. He's got to get 2 right. If he gets both right, he gets a third challenge. But if he makes a challenge to a subjective call and a panel of 4 out of 5 do not agree to overturn the call, he loses that challenge and he loses his right to a third challenge. The most, if both coaches went 3 for 3 and used all 3 challenges, and by the way, that doesn't happen ever. But if it did, I would be adding 6 minutes to a game. Let's say with the announcements, I'd be adding 7 minutes to a game. Now, I don't know about you. But I would be willing to add 7 minutes to every NFL game to make sure we get more calls right than wrong.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to work because you're expecting 5 old dudes to pay attention for.
Well, they got to be old. Why they got to be old guys?
Because
I'm asking that sincerely.
Because more than likely they'll be retired referees who would have enough skill to be put into that situation. You're not going to pick a guy who was just reffing Pee Wee 3 weeks ago and go, dude, you're in. I mean, it's going to be someone who has tenure more than likely, and you want them to pay attention for that long.
I
I mean, maybe get someone like Scott Hansen and just put him in there because that dude has to pay attention for how many hours straight? 7
I want that
hours
job.
straight.
I want that job so bad.
I mean,
I want that job
if
so
you
bad.
if you want to get a guy like that and if you can find 5 guys like that and put them in there, that's one thing.
Look,
but
I'm not saying it needs to be.
so I'm just imagine a party going on and suddenly the buzzer goes off and they're having to try and pay attention. And by the time they gather themselves, 25 seconds are already gone.
Here's what I'll do. Every team nominates one guy. Every team nominates one guy. And because every week there are NFL officials who are not assigned to a crew. If you're not assigned to a crew this week, you go to New York City. That's your job for the week, right? Now we have active NFL
Aren't those
officials.
usually guys who didn't grade really well the week before? So
Not
they're being
necessarily.
okay. All
A lot of
right.
refs. But listen, we can sit here and we can get into the technicalities of my hypothetical. But assuming that we came to a compromise on the hypothetical, how is this a bad
All right,
idea?
they already have those guys in New York. They do because those guys can buzz down in the last 2 minutes or whatever and challenge. And they can also spot if it looks like someone had a concussion. I mean, they got those guys that are already back there. I just don't know how many there are.
I'll throw it this
Could
way.
be like one dude. I don't know.
Texter said TV rights would block this, Rob. Oh, I gave you the compromise, Texter. I gave you the compromise. These 60 seconds, we don't stay live. At any point, when a red flag hits the field, it is a flag to the TV network. You have 60 seconds right now. This is yours to do with whatever.
Yeah, but you also added 6 minutes, you said, to a game. And if you do that, they're going to have to find a way to curb that time to make it time out to the time that they need it to. We know all about time. We have to time things out, to certain benchmarks each hour, and they have to do the same thing. So if you take 6 minutes away or add 6 minutes, you've taken 6 minutes away of ad revenue.
No, I haven't. It's the exact opposite.
If you're adding,
giving you
so
7
where
minutes
does
of extra
so
ad
where
time.
does that extra 7 minutes go? It has to go at the end of the game. Do you make halftime a little bit shorter or make post game? I mean,
put a 10-minute window between whistle and kick. And I know, again, I get what you're saying, but this is where I'm coming from. Number one, even if all 6 challenges got used, which let's say they would, let's say coaches, especially in a fourth quarter, haven't used the challenge yet. You can't take them. They're not worth points. I might as well burn them up, right? Let's say everybody challenges everything. Okay. We will know within probably 2 weeks the average amount of time added. Also, I have another idea. What if we just make, I don't know, everything else a minute shorter? Right? Make the quarter breaks a minute shorter. Make the halftime break a minute shorter. Make the whatever. The point here is, do you want to get it right or don't you? Right? Do you want to get it right, or are you more concerned that the TV broadcast might go 3 minutes over? What's more important to you?
I think they'll say the TV broadcast going 3 minutes over because human error is a part of the game.
See,
I know to you that's an excuse, but it's still.
It's not an excuse. It's an insult. It's an insult to the players is what it is.
So the referees should be perfect.
No, I'm saying we can make the referee better. Yes. Okay, let me clarify that.
We can build them better.
I cannot expect the referee to be perfect, but yes, the referee should be perfect. I can't expect him to be, but he should be. I know there are going to be mistakes, but there shouldn't. Right? So, to me, if you have an opportunity, we're just 3 times a game for both teams. 3 times a game for both teams. You could have an official step out onto the field. You could have the coach go, nah, that call's wrong. When there have been some, the entire Super Bowl is different if Sean Payton has a flag on that pass interference call. The Super Bowl is different. One call can affect everything. John Dog says, just get rid of the review. I could not disagree with you more, with all due respect, John Dog. Why? Why do you want to get rid of something that makes the game better? We'll have to wait 60 more. Is our attention span in this country that damn short that 60 seconds added to a game ruins it for you?
Every generation, it gets shorter, I believe, as far as the attention span goes.
I mean, maybe so. And again,
stinking internet. It's all the internet's fault.
Listen, the internet is, and I mean this.
So daggum TikTok, Rob.
The internet is the greatest accomplishment of mankind. I mean that. The internet is the greatest accomplishment of mankind. I have the entirety of human knowledge available at the push of, well, I don't have to push buttons anymore. Now it's like, you just
I would
hold your
say
thumb against the
children is the greatest accomplishment of mankind.
The internet's better than your kid. All of you. If I had a kid, the internet's better than my kid.
The continuation of the species is kind of important.
The internet's better than your kid. Okay? It just is. So, we have the opportunity.
My kids are going to be so disappointed because they really like you. That's after you just.
I love your kids. They're both amazing people. All right? Pappy's my favorite radio person ever. Hands down, he is my favorite radio guy of all time. I like Pappy more than I like me, and I love me some me. Here's what I'm saying. The technology that allows me to pick up this lovely Google Pixel that runs on Android, suck it, iPhone people, and put my thumb against this screen, and within seconds have every bit of human knowledge that has ever been acquired at my fingertips. I can grab this if I wanted to. Right now, I can push 3 buttons on this phone and have a face-to-face conversation with my nephew who is 600 miles away. Face-to-face, like we're next to each other. You're telling me that it's too much to ask to take a 10-second video clip, send it instantaneously to a room full of people who know the rules, and have them go, yep, that's a correct application, or nope, that's an incorrect application of the rules, overturn, and make the game better. I do not want human element. And by element, call it what it is. Human error to take away from what athletes do on the football field that makes the game worse.
All right. So you're saying there's never been a time where a penalty has been reviewed where they came back and said they were right, even though they were wrong. And even the referee expert that's in the booth or called upon says, yeah, I would not have called it that way. And when you've got people reviewing it and they still get it wrong, so you're expecting them to get it right every time with extra time.
I expect them to get it right more often. And yes, I would like to always move towards efficiency on the field. If anything can make the game more true to the players, I am for it. Lonzo, you ever been in a spot where you do every damn thing right? Everything, you do it right. And then someone else screws the pooch and you got to eat it?
Well, as a member of lower management,
yeah,
that's like every day.
Exactly.
Or it could be. It's not.
Exactly.
I got a pretty good crew, but every once in a while.
The point here is, what if there was a fail-safe, right? I'm not saying get rid of producer X on show Y. I'm saying, do you not put the dump button is instant replay review for the show. If I grab the mic and accidentally say into it, what do? You spin around and you hit the little yellow button. That is instant replay. You are correcting an error that happened in the show. That's all I'm asking for. The dump button of football.
Yeah, but there's also some opinion involved with that, because there are some times that I hit the button that, let's say, a host
just say me.
Disapproves of it. Well, every host. There's only been, no, I can't think of any host that I haven't dumped.
Sure.
So, I mean,
listen, I'm not saying it's subjective. Here's what I will say. Every time that you have hit the dump button on something that I don't feel needs to be dumped, what do we do almost every single time?
we go back and listen to it.
We grab Christopher and we go, hey, would you have dumped that? Would you have dumped that? And we bring in another voice to air whether or not they would agree or not. There was a word that we done. I'm not going to say it because you'll dump it again, but there was a word I used on the air that, to me, absolutely no need to dump it. It's from Shakespearean language. You dumped it. We went to Christopher. Christopher said, no, I probably wouldn't have dumped that. Okay, now we have a council of voices that talked about it, came to a conclusion. Doesn't mean you're not going to dump it if I say it again.
Right, because in the end, I'm the authority on that, because my job rides on whether I do that correctly or not.
But the point here is, if we went and we put together
If they knew they'd lose their job from a wrong call, I mean, maybe that puts added pressure on them.
Oh, what's that? You mean hold officials accountable for their performance? Something that we definitely don't do, because Angel bleeping Hernandez is still a thing, because Bill Vinova is still a thing.
Okay, at least that second guy is in the NFL. I mean, the other
Point
guy
here
was
is,
baseball.
across none of the leagues do we hold referees accountable. So here's a way to offset that. Yes, referees union, you can keep Angel, the worst guy at his job ever, Hernandez, on board. You can keep Bill Vinovich on board. No worries, but we have a fail-safe. We have a referee dump button for when they inevitably screw it. Why would we say no to that? Get rid of human element. You mean human error, and let the players dictate the game, not the officials. Isn't that what we say all the time in every sport? I don't want the referees to dictate the game. Let the players play. Okay, let the players play. Let them determine who wins and who loses, not Bill Vinovich. Or maybe I'm just a weirdo. I don't know. Back after, I don't have to push buttons on my phone. All right, I understand. It's a phrase, man. It's a phrase. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
Short break, only 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Oh, that could be like a jacket or something. Now we got more.
Now we got some white. Okay, I think I got it. All right. So you see the two things sticking up the top? I'm gonna say that is something. It's like a bag or a holder that hangs off the back of a car seat, right? Those two little things sticking up, they wrap around the headrest poles, and then that little part sticking out of the bottom is like a bag that hangs off. Maybe she'll hit it and turn it over. Oh. There's something on the ground in the parking lot that Lonzo and I cannot figure out what it is, but we also saw it in the dark.
I think that's Page's car. Probably should go down later and tell her she pops something out of the car.
Also crashed on Rutherford Road at Stone Avenue. You saw at least one lane block there. So you may see a fraction of a delay, not that bad. From the new Soft 98.9 WRD Traffic Center, I'm Lloyd Houston on the Fan. Upset.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew.
It's not a body, Shane.
And the ones who get in early.
I'm entirely sure we would be able to pick that out.
Offering professional grade supplies backed by product experts, so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on.
I respect you immediately going directly to horror, though.
Yeah, if it was a body, we probably would have called someone. I'm just guessing. More than likely.
All right, so we addressed the instant replay. I came up with the absolutely perfect solution to it. You should replace Roger Goodell with me immediately. I'd do a better job. Let's talk about the other ones real quick. We'll breeze through them. Onside kick rule. We good with it? I'm good with it.
Yeah, I guess. There's one rule that you talk. I can't wait till you get to because I completely agree with.
Okay, let's run through the rest of them. The Lions submitted a rule change that would allow coaches to get a third challenge if one of their first two challenges is successful rather than if both are. I'm good with this. If you win one, you should effectively keep it, but to a maximum of 3. I will allow you to keep you must get 2 to get the third, assuming we open up challenges to anything and everything that happens on a football field. The Buffalo Bills want the NFL to allow practice squad quarterbacks to be eligible to serve as the emergency third quarterback on game days. The current rule requires that the third quarterback be part of the 53-man roster. Totally in favor of this.
Yeah, I think that's the one. That's the one that I was talking about. Yeah, they absolutely need to do this.
Totally in favor of that one. I am.
As long as they are a quarterback and not, a player that can do, a couple of different things, that they have to be a quarterback.
I think they would have to be a quarterback, and I believe, much like in because NHL teams have an emergency goaltender. Does not count against your game day roster, but you have a guy with you, and you've seen the stories. Remember last year there was the you may or may not remember the story. Last year, though, there was the guy who was the arena Zamboni driver, but he got to play in an NHL game because the away team had both of its goaltenders get injured in the game, so they had to go with the home team's Zamboni driver as their emergency netminder. Phenomenal story. Like, it's a lot of fun. But that guy cannot come in unless the guys officially listed on the depth chart are ruled out medically by the NFL. I'm good with this because while as chaotic as it can sometimes get to have to pull up your wide receiver who played quarterback for one game in high school to come in and serve as a QB, it does kind of kill the game off. It does. Give me a handoff machine. Pittsburgh Steelers proposed moving the trade deadline back 1 week to after week 9. In a separate proposal, 6 other teams suggested moving it back till after week 10. I'm okay with this too, but I will acknowledge that it is 100% about entertainment value. I want the teams to be more accurately aware of whether or not they are really competitors or if it's time to start selling and get ready for next year. And the deeper you make the trade deadline, the better representation of that knowledge you have. You might have a team at week 8 where the trade deadline is right now, a team at week 8 that is 4-4, and the leader of their division is, 5-3. It's like, are we pretenders? Are we contenders? We don't know yet. You give them 2 more weeks, you might have a better idea. Might not, but might have a better idea. And obviously, every division is going to be a little bit different. A team that is 4-4 in one division, the NFC South, might be the division leader, whereas 4-4 in the AFC West, you might be 3-4 games back at that point. So I actually like moving the trade deadline back a couple of weeks. The Jags would like the NFL to make available the Hawkeye replay feed in the coach's booth rather than only in the replay booth. Yeah, that's coach specific, but I'm good for it. I think NFL teams should have access to every camera angle. I want everything I can get to make the game better. I want every game. I want everything that can make the game better to be available to everybody. The all 22 cam, as I have told you, is the best way to figure out ball, to know ball. So look at the all 22 cam, because everything that everybody does has an impact on everybody else. I would love for coaches to have direct access to the all 22 cam, to the Hawkeye cam, to the Barton cam. Give them Barton cam and let's work this thing out. Let's let coaches have more access to more information. I love chess match football games. Let's have it. Let's see it. And the Eagles hope to see game clocks display tenths of a second in the final minute of each half. I'm good with that too. I mean, does it have an impact on you and me as fans? Not so much, except in terms of we're going to get that shot of the center's hand on the ball when it's that last second tick, especially in time-wasting time, to see if that ball's moving backwards by the time the 10th part has hit zeros.
So this has nothing to do with, we have 2.8 seconds as opposed to 2.2 seconds. We can get a play off in 2.8, but we can't in 2.2 or something like that.
This is, I think, more in line with late delay of game penalties. Because the proposal would be just in the final minute of each half. I don't know if you have the access why you wouldn't do it every snap. Other than, again, you want to make it, the NFL wants to make it to where they're not dramatically slowing the game down with 9, 10, 11 delay of game penalties because the center snapped it a tenth of a second too late. So you only call it in the last minute high impact situations. I don't know, man. Like, just whatever. That one's a whatever to me, because I don't think you're going to have an ace expert who's going to go, oh, yes, the ball is or is not moving when the clock hits 0.000000. So I don't know how much of a difference that makes. Good with the onside kick change proposal. Great with the everything's available for challenge. I fixed it for you and reached a compromise that the NFL and TV should be on board with. Good with the challenge proposal from the Lions. We're all on board with the emergency quarterback. Good with the Steelers' proposal to move back the clock, and like whatever about the Jags and the Eagles' proposals. I think that's where I come out on. There's a couple of other ones that are pretty minute and are more about front office stuff and little stuff that won't impact you. Hey, coming up in the next hour of the show, we'll talk some Clemson and South Carolina basketball. One of those teams is still playing in their conference tournament. Coming up at 8:20, the head coach of the Greenville Triumph, Rick Wright, is set to join us. Rashad Beard, for those of you wondering where he is, he will be with us tomorrow. Had a family emergency today, so Rashad will talk Panther football with us tomorrow. And coming up at 9:20, Fight Club with the great Malonzo. We talk MMA, professional wrestling, and a joke that some of you people are calling boxing. But before we get to any of that, Lonzo is about to make sweet, sensual love with your ears with this sports flash.
Dude, why you got to be creepy? All right, speaking of the team that will not be playing, Clemson's bid for an ACC title lasted just 40 minutes thanks to a 76-55 loss to Boston College last night. BC jumped out to an early lead and never relented while Clemson struggled just about everywhere on the floor. Clemson will get ready for the tournament while Boston College takes on Virginia in the third round of the ACC tournament today. Your basketball schedule is busy today. Speaking of that, in the SEC, Mississippi State at LSU square up at 1, followed by Arkansas versus South Carolina at 3:30. Ole Miss and Texas A&M at 7. Georgia and Florida at 9:30. In the ACC, FSU and North Carolina at noon, followed by Wake Forest and Pitt at 2:30. NC State versus Duke at 7, and Boston College versus Virginia in the 9:30 slot. Another big old sturdy hour of the Rob Brown Show is next. Let's go, computer. Come on. There we go.
Getting tired of all the new rules. I mean, just make the game better, right? Like that's all I'm looking for. Just make the game better.
If they never had rules changes, we would never have the forward pass and, you know, things like that. You got, I mean, there are innovative rules changes and then there's tweaking. And what works for the most part, they keep, and what doesn't, they get rid of.
They'll grow on you.
It's a good tagline. Don't poo-poo
I'm not
that.
knocking it. I love it.
It's
I'm very much team pun.
it's just I know what it reminds me of now. Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff.
DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Nightmare on My Street. Come on, Ludacris. You can do better than that.
You need more?
Senior or junior, James?
Oh, he pulled a gun in their house.
There was a comment about a painted-on beard. That I think Vic said it.
Little half line into mine.
You should do it. You should do it live on stream.
And off we go into hour number 3, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Rob Brown radio program. It is the Fan Upstate. How we doing, my friends? It is spectacular to be with you. I am Rob Brown, the Great Lonzo, on the ones and twos today. You want to be a part of the radio broadcast? Now's a wonderful time to do it. Want to let you know that coming up in the next segment of the show, we will be joined by the head coach of our Greenville Triumph, Rick Wright, a 3-1 dub for the Triumph to open the season, knocking off Spokane Velocity in their opening game. Had a debut of a couple of players that netted goals. Got to see Sebastian Velasquez. He's a former MLSer from right here in the upstate, now a member of the Triumph, and phenomenal opening game for him. We'll talk to Coach Rick Wright about getting the first dub of his tenure as the gaffer when we have him on coming up. But before we get there, let us talk a little collegiate shooty hoops for just a minute, shall we? And let's start with the Clemson Tigers. Took the L last night, 76-66 55, your final, as their quest for an ACC conference championship lasted just 40 minutes. Boston College beat them at everything. They beat them on the glass. They beat them in the assist category. They beat them in they killed them in the rebounding game. I'll need somebody to explain to me how it is that PJ Hall gets one rebound in a game. In a game, by the way, where he was up, he was supposed to go hand-to-hand combat with Quentin Post, the big man for the BC Eagles. A good big man. I was jacked about that matchup. I thought that matchup had the potential to be the best matchup in this entire tournament. Post v. Hall should have been spectacular. And so the question shall be asked, and I think shall be asked quite fairly, is this Brownelling? And I think the answer to that is a solid maybe. Here's what I mean. On one hand, I really didn't have an issue with the game plan of Clemson. I thought you got a variety of different looks. I thought you got a couple of different spots where Clemson was shifting up the defense on Boston College and throwing them some different looks here and there. I thought there was a lot of positive as far as the game plan goes. The execution was start to finish. Boston College jumped out early. Boston College never looked back after they did. And, you know, we asked you the question, is this Brownelling? The answer is yes to me if. The answer is yes to me if you are concerned that Clemson will not be able to hit that next gear when the tournament starts. That's it. The question is, will they be able to hit that next gear? Because what we saw last night will get your rear end handed to you in round one of the tournament. So, I made the point back in the first hour of the show. This is a team comprised of new guys who have never been here before. This is a team comprised of guys who have been here before, but ordinarily at this point on the schedule, they're playing for their lives. Last night, they entered the game very much already locked in. They locked in 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. They were locked in. Their non-conference schedule was more than good enough. Brad Brownell has gone off multiple times about how important it is to manipulate the net ratings, something that Brad Brownell and the Clemson Tigers did this year. He talked about how teams out of the Big 12 have been doing this for years, manipulating the net ratings and creating a system where they are playing equal talent, but they're selecting that talent by the opponent's net to make theirs look better. Clemson did it. Clemson ended up in a spot where their out-of-conference play made them a lock weeks ago. And also going 21-11 and having wins over South Carolina and wins over Duke and wins over North Carolina, that don't hurt you all that much, man. In fact, it helps you out quite a bit. But a lot of the guys on this team have been at this part in the schedule and we're fighting for their lives. Whereas the team from last night was already in, knew they was already in. And because they was already in, Lonzo asked earlier in the show, are there people, are there fans, and therefore could there be players who maybe look at the conference tournament as something that doesn't really matter all that much. And my answer was, honestly, yeah. Honestly, yeah. There's a lot of people who don't particularly care about the conference tournament. There's only one tournament that matters. It's March. It's March Madness. And when it is the first time that some of the guys on this team, well, actually, it's the first time that, frankly, all of the guys on this team, if we're truly calling it what it is the first time that all of the guys on this team hit this part of the schedule and these games truly didn't matter. I mean, would it be nice to add another trophy to the trophy case? Sure. Would it be nice to hang a banner? Sure. Would it be nice to do something that Duke in North Carolina and Wake Forest didn't do? Yeah, absolutely. It would be spectacular to be able to hang that banner. But it doesn't matter compared to March. It just realistically, it just doesn't matter compared to March. So in that world, it would make sense that this team came out slow last night. It would make sense that this team came out soft last night. In fact, if I said to you this, you can win the NCAA tour, or excuse me, you can win the ACC tournament, Lonzo, but it's going to come at the cost of PJ Hall suffering an injury and being unavailable in March. Would you rather win the ACC but not have your best player available for the March tournament? Or would you rather get bumped in the first or second round of the conference tournament, but you are fully healthy for March Madness?
All right, so this is the preseason argument for like football and other things. If you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna get hurt. It's not gonna. It doesn't matter where it is. If he ends up getting hurt in the main tournament, he still got hurt, right?
I asked you a hypothetical. I am once again.
I will not participate in this hypothetical because in the hypothetical, someone gets hurt, and that's that. I don't like that.
Okay, then I will ask you, my dear listeners, compatriots, colleagues, and friends.
Are you guys okay with the hypothetical being someone gets hurt?
No one's actually getting hurt. It's a hypothetical. So the czar of idealism hath spoken. So I'll ask y'all, Clemson fans specifically.
Am I just the worst at this for you?
Yes, you are the worst at this.
I would think you would learn the room and fashion your hypotheticals in a way that it would work with me.
Hypotheticals are meant to drive conversation, yet you
Right.
refuse to participate.
No, because I don't want to lie. And it bothers me when I don't want someone to get hurt.
Taking
I'm
an
sorry.
opinion on a hypothetical is not lying. This is my opinion.
I think it can be taken out of context and be.
I gave you the context.
No, I'm talking about from someone else, somewhere else, going, oh well, he's okay with someone being hurt.
Well, I will let them paint me however they wish. I got 2 crystal trophies that say we have painted ourselves just fine. So I will ask you, dear listeners, about your hypothetical. I am, once again, Will Smith from that very awkward remake of Aladdin. I am a magical genie. And I will grant you one of 2 realities, but you have to pick one of the 2. Reality A, you win the 2023-2024 Atlantic Coast Conference Championship Tournament. But in the final, you lose PJ Hall. He is unavailable for March Madness. Or the other reality is you get bumped in the first round of the ACC tournament, but in return for that, you are fully healthy going into fully healthy, top to bottom, going into March Madness.
Which is the theory that a lot of teams do, that they're okay with getting bumped early in their tournament because it gives them extra time to get ready for the one that really matters.
Absolutely.
I just don't understand how your conference tournament doesn't matter. I get it's not a national championship, but it's still a trophy, and it's still, I mean, it still means that you're winning.
James said both realities end up with Brownell losing in the NCAA tournament and getting an extension.
Probably. That's probably true. I mean, recent history would say that's probably absolutely true.
So I'm going to go with I'd rather be fully healthy in March. The ACC tournament, I'm not going to say it means nothing, but it does not mean as much as a Final Four berth does. Teams hang banners for making it to the Final Four. It's impressive. The March tournament is hard.
Yeah, but you hang a banner if you win the championship for your conference too. You don't do that?
I do hang that. Here's the thing. If I ask most college basketball fans to name their last Final Four appearance or name their last conference tournament championship appearance, more of them will know their Final Fours than they will their conference championships.
Yeah, you can't do that at Clemson, though.
I knew it was coming. I set it up anyway. I liked it. So I am going to go with, I think fans care more, and I think players care more about their NCAA tournament hopes than they do their conference tournament hopes. So it would, if that is the case, it would in that case make sense that the team that came out last night was not the best version of Brad Brownell's team. It would make sense that the team that came out last night was maybe protecting themselves a little bit, maybe not going as hard in the paint as they might ordinarily go. That checks out. The question mark is that a mentality that Clemson can flip on and off at the drop of a hat? If the answer is yes, then I don't care about last night, and it was not Brownelling. If the answer is no, then yes, it was Brownelling, and you have a problem. Because the one thing that I would say these conference tournaments are good for is building momentum heading into the big tournament. The one thing I would say it is important for is to probably have the most rigorous set of consecutive games that you are going to have at any point in the season, with the exception of the March Madness tournament. When the tournament starts, yes, it is going to become more difficult for you. So you could utilize the conference tournament to kind of build that momentum, to play 2, 3, maybe 4 tough, rigorous games against the best possible opponents back to back to back to back, to figure out, all right, this is who we are when all the chips are on the table. This is who and what we are. And if the attitude was the latter and they still looked like that last night, then Clemson fans might be about to be very, very, very disappointed. South Carolina fans, you've got Arkansas tonight. There is good news and bad news.
Mighty Razorbacks.
The Razorbacks and the Gamecocks set to go tonight. Lamont Paris, who, as far as I am concerned, is without a doubt your national coach of the year this year. National coach of the year this year. That's not a question mark. That's a statement. So, Arkansas last night got into it with the Vanderbilt Commodores. Not a great Vanderbilt team. Arkansas last night was at a point where they were down like a lot. Came out second half. There was at that moment a very clear shift in momentum. Arkansas fought back. They actually took a lead. They had a lead of a couple until the dying gasps of the game. And then Vandy knocked down a game-tying buzzer beater to send it to OT. And into OT, Arkansas just had more gas in the tank. So what do we expect to see out of this team coming up tonight when they take on the Arkansas Razorbacks? Well, South Carolina, I will say this. Defensive discipline is the key. Defensive discipline wins or loses you this game. because Arkansas wants to set a lot of picks at the top. They want to move the ball left and right a lot. They want to try to yank you out of your defensive positioning. They want to get you out of formation. They want to make you make mistakes defensively. Defensive discipline wins and loses this game. Here is how it breaks down to me. You've got to be defensively disciplined, A, but B, you got to knock your shots down. That game for Clemson last night looks dramatically different if Clemson's just making their shots, but they're shooting 30% from the floor. It's not good enough. I'll take you back to the last couple of L's for South Carolina. One of them where Meechie Johnson went 0 of 7 from deep. Can't do that. Can't do that. I'm not saying you got to go have a highlight reel of a game. I'm not saying in this game you got to go out and set your offensive best mark of the season. I'm saying defensively, you've got to maintain your shape. And offensively, you got to put the ball in the net. I know that's cliche. I know that seems easy. But sometimes the easy stuff, sometimes the fundamentals, you've got to get those right to get the big things right. Hey, speaking of putting the ball in the net, the Greenville Triumph did that 3 times against Spokane Velocity this past weekend. When we come back, head coach of Your My Hour, Greenville Triumph, Coach Rick Wright, joins us on the radio program to break down that 3-1 win and get us looking forward to the rest of the season. We'll talk to Coach Rick Wright when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, give us just a minute while we get Coach Wright set up. We'll be right back. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown and the great Lonzo with you on a lovely Upstate Thursday morning. It was a lovely Saturday evening at Paladin Stadium this past Saturday as Our Greenville Triumph got their season and the reign of their new gaffer, head coach, manager, whatever you want to call him. You call him a winner in week one. Coach Rick Wright joins us here on the show. Coach, welcome in. What's up, big dog?
Good morning. Good morning. Echoing your thoughts on what a great morning. What a great morning. So, we've gotten back to the grindstone. We've had a good week of training, getting ready for the next phase, which is the Open Cup, which is coming up this Wednesday.
I love me a little midweek football, Coach. I do. Talk to me a little bit about the mindset, man. I mean, listen, we all wanted to see this team come out of the blocks hot. A questionable penalty up early, let Spokane go 1-0, and then you guys just came storming back. Talk to me a little bit about the mentality of the team going into that match, during the duration of that match, and now that you're getting ready for the first Open Cup match.
Yeah, we've had a really good preseason. It's not like we played that great, but we had a good preseason from the standpoint that the guys really worked really hard. No complaints from any of them. As a matter of fact, they kept saying, "Coach, more work." And so we had a good preseason, and I cannot echo enough the fact that we have got such tremendous leaders in that dressing room. Sebastian Velasquez has been a tremendous addition on the field, but in the dressing room, unbelievable. Our captain, Brandon Fricky, unbelievable preseason, really, really focused. Evan Lee stepping up and really, really doing some great stuff. And Tyler Pollock, same thing, So going into the game, we knew that Spokane was a little bit of an unknown because we have not been able to see them play. We did get a little bit of a scouting report from them, and they do have a veteran team that they've put together. So we did know about the players individually. So going into it, the guys felt we had something to prove. We want to make Paladin Stadium our fortress. And like you say, it was a little bit of a dodgy penalty there, but, we rebounded from that pretty well. And obviously Zion, got that first goal. And, it's hard to believe he's only 19 years old and he's been a pro already for 3 years. But, he took his chance well. And to be very candid, though, when we got in that dressing room, the boys were really, really fired up and saying, "Listen, guys, we're better than this." And Spokane was a very physical, athletic team. And, the guys came out and, Liam came out with a little bit of an attitude because he felt like he played poorly in the first half, and he did. But he came back out and, lit it up. And Leo Castro, wow, what a great goal. And, so the guys really, really had a point to prove, and they stepped up to the plate. Evan Lee's goal was very clinical. And were we expecting to score 3 goals? Probably not, because we've had a little bit of a challenge scoring them in preseason. But as the announcer said, we were very clinical. And so this week we've been working on some of the efficiencies there. We're trying to shoot more. We're trying to get more opportunities. And so as that game came to a close, you could feel the electricity in the stadium. You could feel the players really, really take a deep breath and say, "You know what? We are good. We are a good team." So, it's been good so far.
I have had, Coach, the pleasure of working with this team, both with the front office and with the team itself for the last, 4 years running now. And one thing that's always jumped out to me is there's not a time, even in the couple of spots under Coach John Harkes, where maybe there was a let up last year in the playoffs, maybe a disappointing exit. There's never been a point that you would talk to these players where it sounded like that was hung on them. I mean, I know they're athletes and they're going to be disappointed with different results in different situations, but it never seemed like this team, whether it was getting into a hole in an individual game or maybe going on a 2-3 loss streak or maybe an exit from the playoffs they didn't anticipate, this team never really feels to me like they let those things become an albatross. It just always seems like it makes them dig in a little bit more and push a little bit harder to get things back on the right track. Did you feel that in this game when that first goal went in for Spokane? And more importantly, in your role as an assistant last year and how the season ended last year and now moving up into the head coach's role, have you felt that from that team coming from the 23 into the 22 version of it?
Without a doubt, one of the things that I really, really harp on with the guys is that this is their team. This doesn't belong to me. It doesn't belong to anybody else. It belongs to them. They have to take ownership. And that's where the leadership comes from those guys at the very top. And when we went back in that dressing room, there was not one single head down. It was, hey, we're going to come back and we're going to beat this team. We're better than this. We're better than them. And that was the mantra. And that's the way it's been, like you say, every year. John and the whole coaching staffs in the previous years, we always had a very, very strong belief that we are doing the right thing. We are putting together the right guys. And we don't, you don't know if a guy's going to be that competitive until you get him on board. But at the same time, we always create that competitive environment. Listen, yesterday, on Wednesdays, we're doing a little competition day, and where we break the boys down into groups of 6, and we're playing a 6-a-side tournament every Wednesday, and it's a month-long tournament. And, yesterday we got out on the field, and I told Mark, my assistant, who, by the way, is doing a phenomenal job, and Julie's doing a great job, and I made the comment, I wonder where these guys are right now as far as their minds and where are they physicality. It didn't take very long because the very first match, Sebastian's team lost, and he was angry. And he got him to the side and he gave him a little lecture, and they went the rest of the tournament undefeated. So, these boys are competitive. And at the end of the tournament, there was some harsh words spoken because some guys felt that the referee wasn't the best, but we're trying to replicate the real games. Our game refs aren't always the best. So it's got the guys have a really competitive vibe, and there's no albatross around anybody's neck. I can tell you that they have a chip on their shoulder because we want to prove that we're the best in the league. Period.
Talk to me, Coach, a little bit about Sebastian Velasquez. I've had the chance to meet him a couple of times. I mean, he's one of those cats that the story, I know he's from this area, grew up working at Stack's Original, one of my favorite restaurants. But the kid's had success internationally. He played at the MLS level. He is one of those guys that, as somebody who's been around athletes a long time, I almost kind of expected him to kind of have a little bit of an attitude, a little bit of an edge, and he does when he's on the pitch, Coach. But this dude has also been, since I've had the chance to work with him, one of the nicest people I've ever been around. How is Sebastian fit into this team, both as a player and a leader?
Oh, unbelievable. I can't say it enough. He's very humble. When we started this process of trying to get him here, the whole thing was he wanted to come home. He wants to play in front of his parents. He wants to play in front of his friends. And we made it happen. And, there's always in the back of a coach's mind, how is he going to come in and how is he going to meld with the players? How is he going to be with them, And all I can tell you, he's very, very humble. He's a hard worker. He loves the game. He loves this game, and you can see it when he plays. But he really does. He wants to leave a legacy where he makes an impression on this team. He's not one of my captains. And I told him I was not going to make him a captain. He goes, Coach, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to lead no matter what. And, I mentioned Brendan Fricky earlier. And we have moments where Sebastian steps up and speaks and talks about the process and what we're trying to achieve and the motivation factor. And a couple of times, I've taken Brandon to the side and said, hey, you're not saying much. And he goes, Coach, I don't need to say much. Sebastian is saying it all. He says, I'm going to lead with my example. When I need to say something, I will. So everybody is finding their little niche in this team. And Sebastian is really and truly a tremendous leader, works hard, encourages the guys. And, you know, it's easy for, and I'm not going to say a superstar, but a guy with his pedigree to when the chips are down, to just sit back and go, why am I here? You know, why am I playing with these guys? You know, not Sebastian Velasquez. Sebastian Velasquez is always picking up everybody, and he is a true epitome of a leader from the standpoint that he wants to make all of his teammates better. And he does a tremendous job with it. And so did the other leaders. I mentioned Brandon. I mentioned Evan Lee, Tyler Pollock. Those guys are doing a phenomenal job right now. Incredible. Now, when and if we hit a bump and lose, I think that'll be really and truly to see how leadership steps forward, you know. But I did cheekily say to the guys on Saturday night that, you know, the good thing about winning the first one, you know, it's hard to go undefeated if you lose the first one. So at least we've got the first one underway, and now we got the focus of seeing just how far we can ride this undefeated streak.
I want to talk a little bit about the matches upcoming, Coach, but before I do, I want to talk a little bit about Leo Castro, a 3-point game this past Saturday night. Loved watching him improve week after week last year, and then that back heel goal. Coach, I think I've probably watched that goal about 1,000 times so far, and I'll probably watch it 1,000 more before the next one. Talk to me a little bit about the development of that kid, and before you do, about what you thought when that thing went in the net, because my goodness, if that's not a top 10 play of the year, I don't know what is.
Yeah, you know, Leo is a polished pro too, you know, and he's got great leadership skills. He's a very quiet guy, though, very quiet leader. But Mark and I talked about this going into this game, and we're seeing a side of Leo that we never saw before. And I'm talking about last year, we never saw this. He's got a very interesting sense of humor. And so he's very refreshing in the dressing room because, you know, he makes fun of me, he always teases me because of my age. And I, of course, give it right back to him because he's closer to me in age than any of the other guys. But going into this game, we saw a side of Leo where, number one, he's been training really, really hard. He looked very fit. He's playing like he's 25, not 35. And, when we saw him on the pitch, not just that goal, but the leadership that he exhibited, the communication that he did with 19-year-old Zion Scarlett is really very refreshing. You know, he wants a striking partner, and he's bringing Zion along. You know, he's mentoring him in a big way. So when that goal went in, it goosebumps. I've watched it multiple times as well, and it was very refreshing. We're going to see a very, very good Leo Castro this year. He and I talked quite extensively after the game because I'm a firm believer that when I see somebody rise to the occasion and fully invest themselves in our program, I wanted him to know that we do value him. You know, we do value his experience. We do value his abilities. And it's interesting because he's very humble about it. And his comment was, of course, coach, this is my team too, you know? It's good to see that, but we see him do stuff in training all the time. I'll be honest with you. He does things all the time in training. Yesterday, he and Sebastian were two leading scorers in the six-a-side, you know, and Leo works hard off the ball. He works hard with the ball. So, big things expected again from Leo for sure.
Let's talk a little bit about that Wednesday, March 20th matchup, the Greenville Triumph on the road in Columbia to take on South Carolina United. From the perspective of a fan, coach, this tournament is incredible to me. It is one of the best things in American sports. I know there's been a little drama with the teams at the MLS level, but the fact that you've got every club level from beer league up to the very top competing. It is such a fantastic event for soccer. Provided to me maybe my favorite sporting event since I moved to the upstate a couple of years ago when MLS side Charlotte FC came down and played here in Greenville, and we gave them a hell of a game that night, Coach. Can you talk to me a little bit about what the U.S. Open Cup means for a team at the level of a Greenville Triumph and what it would mean to you guys to make a deep run through it?
Yeah, this is crazy and hard to believe, but I actually played in the Open Cup way back in 1979 with a team out of Atlanta that I was playing with, and I can remember the excitement that we had back then because we were playing a team from Rochester, and it's an exciting event. The teams that we're playing for, we're playing South Carolina United. And I haven't really discussed this with the guys yet, but we've got to be very careful that we don't underestimate anybody because at the end of the day, the teams that are in the lower levels, this is their FA Cup final. This is their European Championship game of the year. And the fact of the matter is there are guys that'll be on that South Carolina United team that actually are going to be on audition or trial for all the professional teams. I know that one of the boys they have, is an Anderson University player that he's already reached out to me. Hey, coach, I want you to really watch me, play, So, it's a great event. We've got to make sure that we've got our ducks in a row. And at the end of the day, somebody asked me the other day, are you going to play your second team? Why would I do that? I mean, that makes no sense to me. No, we're gonna play our strongest team, and we're gonna play to win every single match. You mentioned the Charlotte game. A lot of people forget that the game before that we beat Oakland Roots that came all the way from the West Coast. And yeah, we beat them, and we should have. Well, everybody thinks they should have beat somebody, but we could have very easily have beaten Charlotte FC that day, without a doubt. So yeah, it's a great tournament. We're going to enter. Obviously, we're entered it. We are going to attempt to win every single match we play in that thing. It's as simple as that, So we're looking forward to going to Colombia and. It's another stepping stone, then we do have to turn around pretty quickly and come back home and play Forward Madison, which is always a tough game. So, but the boys are prepared. We feel like we're in a good place physically, fitness wise. We actually will get one of our 2 injured players back Friday for training. So Carlos will come back into training tomorrow. And we're excited about that. It just makes it that much more, competition in the midfield. So, we're looking forward to Wednesday. We intend to go down and put on a good show, and maybe we'll get some fans from the Mid-State to come up and watch some games at the Paladin Stadium.
Rick Wright is the head coach of our Greenville Triumph again next Wednesday on the road in Columbia in the initial round for the Triumph of the U.S. Open Cup, and the next Saturday at home, Paladin Stadium, 7 p.m., where they welcome in a team I have loved to watch become a rival of the Triumph, Forward Madison. Coach, my man, always great to have you on the show. We appreciate it, and we will see you in Columbia next Wednesday. Let's go get them.
Yes, sir. Let me just say one thing. I love you when you say yours, ours, mine, because that's really and truly what the Triumph is. We want to be the upstate. We want to be the a team that everybody can say, hey, guys, this is our team. This is my team, and I think that's something that we want to make very clear, that we want to be the team of the upstate, the team of the state of South Carolina, and it is your team. It is our team. It is my team. So, let's take a crowd and go down to Columbia and show them what we're made of.
I love it. Coach Rick Wright from the Greenville Triumph joins us here on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate to talk a little footy. Coach, we'll do it again real soon. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great. Have a great day. Thank you.
You as well. Thank you very much. Coach Rick Wright, the gaffer, joining us here on the show. We appreciate it very much. Let's run to a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this hour of the show. Next hour of the show, we'll run you through a bunch of quick hit stories, and then it's Fight Club. with the great one coming up here in about 40 minutes from now on the Rob Brown Show. It is the Fan Upstate. Old coach. I'll tell you one thing. There are some guys in the game that you will never have to worry about the interview going short. And I love Rick for that.
I'll say if you prefer yes and no answers, I mean.
I do not.
Yeah.
I do not prefer that at all. We have been very lucky between Harksey and him both being willing to be friends of the show.
I appreciate, Stephen, how you also are concerned, like I am, for Rob's health.
It's 2, but your boy didn't fall asleep till like 2 o'clock this morning and then got up at 3:30. So it is what it is.
Explains all the heat towards me today. Wow.
There's been no heat towards you. What are you talking about? I have been nothing but kind, as I always am. Just a cherub.
You're trying not to be a cherub, though. That's why you're eating chicken. Look at that beautiful, almost going to be 80
Sure, right?
day today.
Yeah, we're just about out of hockey sweater weather.
But it's cold in here. That's why I got a jacket on.
Yeah.
There's no finding the right temperature
No,
in
it's
this
either
room.
hot or cold in this room, and it's never comfortable.
According to the weather app, which may or may not be right, between the hours of 4 and 6, it's going to be 78 degrees.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, well, you know, according to him. Looking at your Twitch name, I'm sure your hypotheticals would work perfect for me.
Katy Perry levels of temperature.
If all Rob's hypotheticals were in anime, we'd be all right.
So what I need to do? Do I need to start?
Yeah, just watch just a couple animes. I can give you the ones: One Piece, Dragon Ball Z, My Hero Academia. Just those 3.
There's a Godzilla anime on Netflix that I am in.
Is it subbed or dubbed?
Both.
Which would you prefer?
It's hilarious because it's dubbed and the subs are different than what they're saying. So I'm actually getting like 2 different shows at the same time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, wrapping up hour number 3 of the Rob Brown radio program. This is the Fan Upstate. Texter says, hilarious. Rob Clemson has never been to the Final Four or won the ACC tournament.
Which I said, but I'm glad you said it too, because that confirms it if more than one person says it.
Texter said, I'd rather my basketball team play every game like it's their last game because you never know when an injury will occur. Yes, Joey, but
exactly.
The harder you go and the more you go, the more likely an injury becomes. right? Like that's just how numbers
If
work.
you play in both tournaments and you win both, that means you won a lot more games, and that's just awesome because winning is so cool.
Again, I don't disagree, but you've got eggs in baskets and you've got to decide how much you're going to put into each because you only have so much gas in the tank as I cross my metaphors over. Like it's lovely to say I'm going to
Broke
give
some
it
ankles with that crossover. So it was amazing.
It's lovely to say I'm going to give it all I got every time I go out, but that is a statement from the czar of idealism, not from a resident of reality. The reality is you can give it all you got, but if you give it all you got all the time, eventually you're going to have less of it to give. That's how bodies work.
No, not if you do a lot more cardio. I mean, you work on your cardio, then you can give it all you got to give every single time.
No, you can't. No, you can't. That's just not how anything works at all.
Explain LeBron James.
I will. Look at his numbers. They come down every year. They're still real good, but there's a reason Braun is the chosen one and the rest of us ain't. Because his tank's a lot bigger and can hold a lot more. Doesn't mean he can't run out of it. That's why he's had all these minor ankle injuries and missed a game at a time here and there.
He also has like a hyperbaric chamber or something. It's weird.
Listen, if playing more didn't take a lot out of you, we never have a load management conversation. But we have load management conversations all the time. Why? Because sometimes you just got to shut it down and recharge the batteries, man. We're not actual batteries, but we work on the same principle. You can store X amount of energy, and as you burn it, it takes a while to get it back.
The Matrix could be real, and if it was real, then we would be back.
No. Mr. King of Killing Hypotheticals. You don't just jump straight to the Matrix, the hypothetical of all.
You said we're not batteries, but you know there's movies out there that say that we could be.
There actually is a scientific theory that perhaps this is all a simulation that we live in, and there's actually some level of philosophic evidence it might be true. It's kind of mind blowing if you ever decide to do Aaron what's his name? Aaron Rodgers. I bleached his name from my memory. You ever do Aaron Rodgers levels of psychedelics and go down YouTube, you'll learn all about the theory that we live in a simulation.
And he may someday be vice president of the United States. I mean, so there's that too.
Way to go, America. Way to go.
America.
Anyway, that's where I thought this segment was going to go. Captain Kirk says he can retire a Falcon. Kirk Cousins spoke out for the first time yesterday, said that he thinks he can finish his career in the ATL, came out with a pale gray suit and, of course, the red and black Jordans because Kirk's got drip.
He also has a lot of money, so he can afford that sort of thing. Yes.
The Atlanta metropolitan area has been a place of familiarity for the new Falcons quarterback and his family for a long time. His wife, Julie, grew up there. He has spent parts of off seasons in his father-in-law's basement in Johns Creek, Georgia. Kirk Cousins living in a basement makes perfect sense. It checks out fine.
Probably looks really comfortable down there. There's probably a worn out easy chair that he's just sitting in, putting that brain thing on his head.
His father-in-law's basement is nicer than your and my house is put together.
Probably.
Sorry, your compound and my house put together.
Probably.
Anyway.
Yeah, but is it rustic?
Kirk Cousins said, quote, I think in Minnesota it was trending over the last couple of off seasons to being somewhat year to year. And as we talked with Atlanta, it felt like this was a place where if I played at the level I expect to play, that I can retire a Falcon. And that was something that really excited me. And that's certainly the goal. And you got to earn the right to do it, end quote. Asked about his Achilles surgery recovery. He said he, quote, is feeling great, end quote. Said he's able to take drops and throw the ball well right now, but that if he had to leave the pocket, it would be clear he's still recovering from the injury. The last 150 available games Kirk Cousins has played in 145 as a starter, has completed 67% of his completion or of his passing attempts for 39,471 yards, 270 tutties, and 110 interceptions over the past 6 years in Washington, followed by 6 years in Minnesota. The former fourth rounder made Pro Bowls in 3 of the last 5 seasons, was on pace for perhaps one of the best seasons of his career last year before the Achilles injury. Dude, it's impossible to dislike Kirk Cousins. There's only one thing wrong with Kirk Cousins. Do you know what it is? He's a Falcon. That's it. That's the only thing I got against the guy, man. It's the only thing I got against the guy. It just is. Well,
maybe get
get
him a little more tan if you're going to rock the chains. I mean, just because the pale and it just does the gold clashes with the pale.
My dude's doing his thing, and I love it. I love to see it. All right, when we come back here in just a minute, I'm very excited, because an NFL team has made a good decision. And not just a good decision, but a good decision that is going to prove yet one more time that I am right and all of you are wrong. Can you guess the thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to the NFL? That's the sound of a cold wind blowing. I'll tell you what it is when we come back. I know. Texture says, that's what's wrong with everybody today. They only want to give just enough when it matters. Not all the time. Perfect example. Michael Jordan. Oh, I got to go find the rest of this text. We got a boomer text. I love it. Michael Jordan played with the stomach bug, Game 6. It was a championship series. What do you mean when it doesn't matter? It was Game 6 of a championship series. This wasn't Game 3 of the regular season. This wasn't a preseason game that he played, by the way, I think hungover, but a flu game. It was a
All right, speaking of
what do you mean when it doesn't matter? It's a championship game.
Speaking of unrealistic hypotheticals, Clemson in a championship game for basketball. Hey, Texter.
You must chill.
Only when it doesn't matter. Michael Jordan played with the flu in a game. It's a championship game.
By the way, I mean, you shouldn't be dogging it when you're out there. If you're playing in the game, you should play to win the game, and you shouldn't go out there. There's no way that Brownell says, "Okay, listen, guys, take it easy when you go out there. No big deal. We get out of this thing early. We got more practice time. I'll give you a day off. Just go out there and just don't make it look too obvious." I mean, they just didn't play with the same intensity that they normally would, whatever that is. But does that come from the coach, or is that? I mean, you played in games before where it's just you're not with it and no one's with it, and through osmosis or whatever, everyone gets that bug that goes, you know what? I think I just want to go home.
Or, hear me out on this. The conference tournament doesn't matter, and Brad Brownell's job revolves around not getting bounced in the first round upon actually doing something.
Yeah, but
saving some gas in the tank.
But so he told them to not play well.
I didn't say that.
I'm just wondering what did he not do to get them ready to play?
I'm saying if you're a team that's already locked into the big dance, I would rather be 100% for the big dance and know that I'm 100% for the big dance.
I'm just not buying it because I don't understand how you can lose on purpose.
I didn't say he lost on purpose.
Okay, all right.
They rolled out the starting five. If they were tanking, they'd have rolled out the back nine.
Okay, because it just looked like that they couldn't find the basket no matter how hard they tried.
I think it was.
And that's why they lost.
A matter of, let's go out there. If we end up shooting 60% and we're in this game at the end, then we'll bust it. And if we're not, so what? Because we're in the March tournament, and that's the tournament that counts, that matters.
So players decide it, and they have a players only meeting and go, listen, guys, this doesn't matter.
Do you and I have to have meetings to be on the same page about things, or do we just develop a chemistry and know?
Well, we are brothers. We are kindred. We just know. Yeah.
Listen, I get what you're saying.
Or you're like an annoying nephew, and I'm like a weird uncle. I mean, it may be that may be what it is. I don't know.
Sports Flash. I can't. Sports Flash.
As That's another one. As they say, hit the nail on the head there. Clemson. Their bid for an ACC title lasted just 40 minutes thanks to a 76-55 loss to Boston College last night. BC jumped out to an early lead and never relented, while Clemson struggled just about everywhere on the floor. Clemson will get ready for the tournament while Boston College takes on Virginia in the third round of the ACC tourney today. South Carolina men's basketball team has their opponent, and it is the Arkansas Razorbacks, who outlasted Vanderbilt yesterday in overtime, 90-85. The Commodores hit a buzzer beater to tie it, but committed one too many turnovers in OT, despite shooting better than 50% from the floor and 40% from deep. Arkansas meets the Gamecocks at 3:30 this afternoon. And yes, I said Razorbacks on purpose. Another sturdy hour of the Rob Brown Show continues right here on the Fan Upstate. More than likely, James. That is not a spoiler. I know. Stinking Razorbacks. Actually, no, like one Razorback. Hopefully he's not listening. He might hurt me. I might be a little bit afraid of that. They say that every year, Joey, and he still manages to keep his job. He has the most secure job in all of college basketball.
I can't say you're wrong.
Just in case you were wondering, I did go Razorbacks again because, you know.
I know I heard it. I listened in there during the breaks. I like it.
There's a guy who used to work here, was co-host, was a Razorbacks fan. His arms were like this big. So I'm hoping I'm hoping I don't make him mad.
Brother.
He also may or may not be in the mob. I'm not sure.
The Spartanburg mob?
Oh, no. Whatever levels, whatever the national level
Tony
of the
D's
mob.
mob?
Yeah, possibly. Could be a member of the family.
Big Ange.
And now they got a lawyer.
Now they got a lawyer.
Who does fit in pretty well. So, I mean.
Bucks GM Jason Lick speaking on Baker Mayfield's toughness. He set the tone for this team with, for his lack of a better word, he's probably a 1 out of 10. He's a 10 on the prick scale. Mayfield responded, "Thank you. I'll take that." Baker.
I don't know if you can say, that's not a real, I mean.
What a compliment.
No, I'm talking about on the radio. I don't know about.
Like, I would say it on the radio.
Yeah, I just don't.
But I think you dump it. So I'm not, so that's why I didn't.
Because I'm uncertain. And when I'm uncertain, I push and deal with whatever the repercussions, which is usually an angry host, which I kind of do anyway. So, I mean, you know, yeah, okay.
I don't have anger in me.
Sure.
Calm, cool.
We'll see how much
Cool
the DBs
the
go
other
up in the
side
next
of
segment.
Oh, 1,000. Yeah.
Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing?
Real good as we head into the final 60 of the Rob Brown radio program right here on the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. What's up, America? How we doing, world?
I'm talking to America here.
Great to be with you. Hope that you're having yourself a spectacular Thursday so far. We got Fight Club coming up here in just about 15 minutes from right now, where we will talk boxing, MMA, and professional wrestling. Your home for combat sports is Fight Club with the great one. Make sure you stick around for that. But a few more stories to run through before we get there. The last, I think, big name pitcher outside of Jordan Montgomery, if he is even available at this point, is off the market, as the San Diego Padres have acquired the rights to right-hander Dylan Cease from the Chicago White Sox. That news broke late last night. The White Sox sending 4 prospects over to, are receiving 4 prospects from San Diego. Drew Thorpe is the number 4 ranked prospect in the Padres system and the number 64 on ESPN's top 100 MLB prospect list. They are sending right-hander Jairo Iriarte, a name that I have noticed Alonzo has not read on the air yet.
And won't, because I've done my last one. It was really important for me to read the Clemson score every time.
No doubt about that at all.
It's news that the listeners need.
And outfielder Samuel Zavala and right-hander Steven Wilson all headed to Chicago to make room on the 40-man. The White Sox designated outfielder Peyton Burdick for assignment. The 28-year-old Cease was the runner-up for the AL Cy Young Award in 2022, but was on a bit of a down year last year. 2 seasons ago, a 2.2 ERA. Last season, a 4.58. However, most of us, myself and Cody Decker included in that number, believe that Dylan Cease is going to go right back to being a dominant performer this year. If nothing else, Dylan Cease is a strikeout prop near guarantee. He is going to get a lot of outs. The problem is he gives up a lot of contact when he does. But he does fit into a much better rotation than he was around in Chicago. They did have Lucas Giolito for a hot minute there. Of course, he's now with Boston and will likely be missing some time due to an unfortunately poorly timed, jacked up elbow that will apparently require surgery that will end his Red Sox career, season. I shouldn't say career, season before it starts. Dylan Cease now in a better lineup alongside Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove, 2 of the better pitchers in the game. These guys will likely all be competing, or at least Musgrove and Cease will be competing for the AL Cy Young this year. Joey B said, so bringing Cease in all but guarantee San Diego isn't bringing Blake Snell back, right? I'm going to say no, but I just said that before the Dylan Cease terms there, Joey B. And I would say that because it's not exactly a secret right now that the San Diego Padres are doing everything in their power to shed money, right? If they weren't trying to shed money, they likely would not have let Juan Soto go over to the Yankees. They let Juan Soto go not because they thought Juan Soto wouldn't contribute to this team. Obviously, he would if they were able to get his head right. We'll find out about that. They let Juan Soto go specifically because they didn't want to pay him the money that the Yankees would. I would assume the same is going to be true elsewhere, in that somebody is going to offer Blake Snell a metric buttload of money when it's all said and done. And San Diego right now does not appear to be a team that wants to do that. So no, Blake Snell is gone in my opinion. The only question mark is where to. And, between you, me, and the wall, I just hope it's not the New York Yankees, but it probably is, because they're willing to spend, again, to use scientific terminology, buttloads of money, and Blake Snell is going to require that to play. You know where we'll talk more about this, though? Bet for the Cycle on Saturday, noon to 4. Myself and former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker break down everything happening in the world of baseball. And, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you we are exactly 2 weeks to the day away from the beginning of the season for our Atlanta Braves. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Gonna be a real good day, y'all. A real good day. Can't wait for it. Come on, opening day. Get here. Got a lot of spring training going on right now. Spring training's been been a lot of fun, to be honest with you. A lot of fun. We will see the end of spring training on March 26th. We will then have the 27th off. Opening day on the 28th. Everybody playing that day. The Atlanta Braves will have their first matchup in Philly, the city of brotherly love, when they take on their NL East division rivals, the Philadelphia Phillies. We will, of course, also see the LA Dodgers that day live from Seoul, South Korea. They'll be taking on the Redbirds in a game that will take place at 4 o'clock, just after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's go baseball. Huzzah. We've got a big day of basketball slated for you today over in the Atlantic Coast Conference that will kick off at noon. FSU, North Carolina, followed at 2:30 by Wake Forest and Pitt. Then we got the night session that sees NC State square off with the Duke Blue Devils, and Boston College taking on Virginia. Out in the Southeastern Conference, we will have games starting at 1 p.m. That'll be Mississippi State taking on LSU. Arkansas and South Carolina tip at 3:30. Listen, South Carolina's a 6.5-point favorite in this game. Over under set at 143.5. The only game with more points today. Actually, there's 2 games with more points today. Georgia, Florida, over under set at 155.5. Florida, 7.5-point favorite in that one. Mississippi State favored by 4.5. The over under spread 144.5. 143.5 is Arkansas, South Carolina. You are the favorite, South Carolina. Let's be real clear about this. Defensive discipline, hit your shots. You've got to do not rush the offense. You are objectively, you are better than Arkansas. Objectively, you're a better basketball team than Arkansas. Arkansas also had an overtime game yesterday. We've talked about this a little bit today. You may be familiar with the conversation. The more you play, the more tired you are. Wear and tear is real. Because wear and tear is real, and Arkansas went to OT with a very scrappy Vanderbilt Commodores team last night. This is a team, frankly, that is not going to be 100% today. Defensive discipline. Do not let them get you out of sorts. Do not let them put you in a spot where you are getting out of your game. Do not let them put you in a spot where you are rushing your offense. Set your offense. Take your time. Make sure that you are taking high percentage shots. Make sure you are knocking down those high percentage shots. And when and if you are, get back on defense and rebound. This is a game, and I mean this. Listen, I say this whenever we have a matchup between two teams where one is obviously better than the other. And I don't care if this is at the high school level. I don't care if this is at the college level. I do not care what level this is at. If you are playing a team that you are outright, flat out better than, the game gets won or lost by you doing the little things right. It really is that simple. You're a better team. Defensive discipline, maintain your shape, rebound, and knock your shots down. High percentage stuff. Make sure that if you're springing Michi, you're springing Michi to those corner threes that he loves so much. Make sure that if you're working the ball inside to BJ Mack, make sure you are seeing the numbers on the front of the jersey and not throwing sideways passes in at him. It's real simple. Do the little things, do them the right way, win this game, move on to the quarterfinals. You should win this game. Got the Big Ten tournament taking place right now as well. Minnesota, Michigan State will tip at noon. Maryland, Wisconsin at 2 o'clock at 6:30 tonight. Ohio State University takes on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Penn State and Indiana tonight at 8:30 p.m. And then out in the Big 12 conference, BYU getting a big dub. BYU might be the best three-point shooting college basketball team of the last couple of years. They light the strings up from deep. They got Texas Tech at 12:30, TCU and Houston at 3 o'clock, Kansas State, Iowa State at 7, and Cincinnati shocking the Rock Chalk Jayhawks last night, taking Kansas out of this tournament. They square up with Baylor at 9:30 p.m. TCU Houston should be fun. TCU 21-11, a good team, but the Cougs lost 3 games this year. That's a real good team. Real good team of the Cougs. They're beatable. They're absolutely beatable. They do not have a fantastic offense. They do have a spectacular defense, though. Out in the Big East, Xavier and UConn at noon. St. John's Seton Hall at 2:30. Providence and Creighton at 7. And a game there's no chance I'm missing. Villanova Marquette tonight at 9:30. It's going to be another stay up late for your boy Rob Brown kind of night. So there you have it. There is your major conference basketball schedule for the day today. By the way, speaking of basketball, Luka Doncic's triple-double streak came to an end last night. 7 straight triple-doubles snapped last night in a 109-99 win over the Golden State Warriors. He had some soreness in his left hamstring, finished with 21-9-3 before checking out with 6:46 remaining in the game. The Mavs announced almost immediately he would not return. He was seen with a heating pad on his left hammy prior to checking into the game 22 seconds earlier. He exited during the very next timeout after throwing an alley-oop to Daniel Gafford, wincing when he landed awkwardly. He informed Jason Kidd he needed to leave the game, headed to the locker room, and that is frankly the right decision. That is the right decision to make. You do not take the risk with Luka Doncic. That guy is he going to win the MVP? Probably not, because Nikola Jokic is also a walking triple-double. But he'll absolutely be in the conversation. Luka, SGA, Nikola Jokic. And I would argue that I think Giannis Antetokounmpo needs to be in that conversation as well. But Dame Lillard has been playing some spectacular shooty hoops lately. And the fact that Dame Lillard is lighting up the strings takes away from the argument of Giannis Antetokounmpo, because those other guys, Nikola Jokic, SGA, Luka Doncic, if any of those guys miss a game, their teams are notably worse. If Giannis misses a game, the Bucks are still pretty good behind Dame Lillard. So I think that's kind of down. All right, let's get a call in here before we run out for Fight Club in the next segment. Torrance up next on the show. Welcome in, big dog. Good to have you.
Hey, man. I'm a Tar Heel fan, man. But it seems like your response to Clemson was a bright side revisionist history type of response to them going into a loss like that. Nobody wants to go into any game losing, especially not the tournament. You're losing is a behavior and a pattern that can be repeatable. Winning is also that way. But I don't think they were trying to conserve energy. Want extra days sleep. I think they got handled, but that's my opinion. But it's always easier when your team loses to say, you know what, on the bright side, at least they're going to be rested.
Yeah, listen, I will 100% acknowledge, Torrance. I'll 100% acknowledge it's a bright side argument for me, for sure. I will tell you, if that team that played last night brings that same lack of energy, lack of effort, lack of emotion, whatever you want to call it, into round one, they'll get bounced. And while I have said a number of times, I do think Brad Brownell saved his job by getting the tournament locked in 2.5 weeks ago. If that team shows up and gets bounced in round one by playing the same basketball they played last night, which was sad, slow, pathetic basketball, if they get bounced in round one, all the nice things I've said about Brad Brownell defending him the last 2 weeks, they're right back out the window, my man.
I agree with you. I really do want Clemson to be good, man. every college wants to have a great two-sport university, and you want to be as good at football as you are in basketball. And I'm rooting for them, even though I'm a diehard Tar Heel fan.
Sure. Listen, I mean, I'm rooting for them because the further they go, the more money I make, and I'm a big fan of that. Like Ric Flair, woo, I'm trying to get paid over here, and them making it further into the tournament helps me out. Get rich or die trying. Am I right, 50 Cent? The point here is, if that team, I am 100% looking, and I acknowledge it. I'm not even, I haven't tried to hide it this whole show, Torrance. I'm looking at it from the silver lining perspective, and the silver lining perspective is the conference tournaments, to a lot of us, I'm not saying everybody, but to a lot of us, the conference tournaments pale in comparison to the importance of the NCAA March Madness tournament. It does not mean as much. That is why the same banner gets hung for Final Fours as conference tournaments. But if I was to go ask a Michigan State fan or a UCLA fan to name me their last Final Four or name me their last conference championship, most of them are going to know their last Final Four before they know their conference championship.
But this is the ACC. This is the basketball conference. Why would you not want to win this?
Because
that's a big deal.
Because it doesn't matter. No, it's not. It doesn't matter.
It is a big deal.
Sure. You hang a banner, you get a trophy. That's spectacular. Torrance, you're a basketball guy. You can pick right now. UNC this year wins the ACC tournament or they're in the Final Four. Which one are you taking?
I'm going to take beating Duke every time we meet them over any one of those.
No, that's fine. But Torrance, don't be Alonzo here. Pick one. I'm going to give you the reality. You can either right now insert UNC as the ACC conference tournament champion, or you can snap your fingers and put them in the Final Four. Which one are you taking?
Final Four.
Thank you very much.
Worst analogies in the business.
It really is.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's so bad.
It's a bad analogy.
Listen, no, it's not.
First of all, you have to have a team that's able to do it. Like everybody can't just sit their number one point guard and try to relax and give him a break through the regular season so he's fresh for the tournament. Some teams are stacked like that. I don't think Clemson's built like that. And frankly, I don't think my Tar Heels are built like that. We have to play every game intentionally.
No,
and
listen,
I don't think
you're all right. Let me clear up what I'm saying here. I'm not saying any of that's true. I think what y'all are saying is like I'm good with just like being lazy in the conference tournament. What I'm saying is if I am looking at Clemson through a best possible scenario prism, which is what I'm doing here, and I acknowledge that. I am saying the ACC tournament championship pales in comparison. And you want to know how I know that's true? Because I didn't say, Torrance, that you have to pick an ACC title or an NCAA March Madness title. I said, do you want a conference title or do you want to snap your fingers and put your team in a spot where they still have to win 2 more games to win the tournament? And without hesitation, you said the Final Four. That's how I know that's a more important tournament.
But the argument should have been, do you want to win your conference tournament or make it to the Sweet 16? Because I think that may be with the role that Clemson has to face and Carolina, for instance, Sweet 16 is more relatable and probably more achievable. Now with that argument, I would say they would rather have won the tournament, the ACC tournament, than to just make it to the Sweet 16.
I don't know, man.
Of course, anybody would root for the Final Four. Anybody.
Yeah, because it's more important.
Right.
Because it's more important.
Every team's not on track to do that. And I don't think Clemson is there. And frankly, the way my Tar Heel is playing up and down, great defense early, laying off defense late, I don't know if we can make it to the Final Four unless the light switch goes back on.
I don't know, man. RJ Davis is like for real, dude. Like
he
for
didn't
real,
do anything the last 3 games, man. And I've been really worried about him not showing up.
We'll go find out. Torrance, appreciate the phone call, big fella. Let's talk basketball again, man. Thank you very much. 844-326-3663, but you will have to wait a few minutes. Why? Because when we come back, Fight Club with the great one, I am going to go take my Zoloft now, all right? I'm going to go grab the pill box because Lonzo's going to intentionally try to raise my blood pressure in the next segment.
Or I'm just not going to do it now because you're taking all the fun out of it.
We'll find out, won't we? It's coming up next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Thank you, Joey B. That is spot on correct, eh? I don't know why I said it like that. I take it back. Did I leave my mic on?
Mine was still on.
Oh, okay.
So the fact you couldn't hear anything, I'm just that's
Didn't click.
That's an indication
Didn't
that
click.
yeah, I don't know what you said
Didn't
because
click.
I couldn't hear what you. I saw you were talking. I had my headphones on. Hopefully, it wasn't anything bad.
No, didn't need a bleep button or a dump button.
Okay, all right.
No. I just said Joey B's take was correct.
Okay, all right. Howard Johnson's right.
How do you feel, Howard Johnson? I think Howard Johnson's right.
I hope you spell my name that way on purpose.
Luonzo. Luonzo.
I think Clemson makes the round of 32. They avoid the dreaded 12-5 upset. Clemson will be a 5 seed. What about the Gamecocks? This is where I think you're in for a special run. Ron Paris takes South Carolina all the way to the Elite Eight. That brand of basketball, defense and efficiency, travels. Second best season in Gamecock history. Lamont Paris becomes one of the 10 or so highest paid coaches in sports come the offseason. What say you? Gamecocks in the Elite Eight? Clemson round of 32. I'm Mark Ryan.
Offsides with Mark Ryan, 3 to 7 p.m. today on the Fan Upstate 97.7 FM.
Okay, how is this news? Travis Kelce attends Justin Timberlake's NSYNC reunion without Taylor Swift.
Oh no. Whatever is happening.
Do you ever attend anything without Courtney?
All the time.
How
We
how
both do. We
how
both
could you
attend
do
things
that?
without each other. Because we're not codependent. But we're also only slightly less famous than Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
I rarely go anywhere without my wife being there because
You don't want to go places.
I don't go anywhere. So I mean, it's there's that. I just don't really. I will venture around the area on Saturday evenings. I will do that, or afternoons rather, before the show. If I were here and I were younger than Rob, a young man, I'd probably be doing all kinds of stuff like I did when I was young, but I'm not anymore.
I do stuff all the time.
No, you do.
I have these conversations with my.
What I'm saying is, you don't ever do anything. I used to. You're slowing down. I mean, a little bit. It just happens. You slow down. And
There's only been like one event, because we've had this conversation all the time, because she has hit that point in her life where she just doesn't want to do things. And so she'll say, I don't care if you go, and I will go to those things. The only thing I've sat out from, because I just didn't want to go, was the Toto Journey concert. And had it been like a bigger concert, I'd have gone. I've gone to concerts without her plenty of times.
Time to hit the Fight Club, where we have 57 ways to take you out, whether it be an elbow drop or, a kick in the face in the Walmart parking lot, or, maybe a low blow in the octagon, because we'll wait that 5 minutes. We don't have a problem with that. By the way, let me address Henny on the stream. I came to South Carolina with a mullet. So yeah, you'd be right. Because, mullets were a thing back in the day. And I don't have one now because the hair's the same length all the way around. So, but what's wrong with a mullet, Henny? I mean, Rob would have one right now and it will work perfect with his hockey jersey.
Listen, the game plan was before I hacked the luscious locks
before you were told that's it. That's enough.
Yeah. The game plan before I locked off the luscious locks was that 3 weeks before the wedding, I was going to go full hockey mullet. And then I was going to get a regular haircut for the wedding itself. And then the lady friend came to me one day and she said, if you want that love in the hair's got to go. And that's the number one argument for anything.
Wow. So, okay.
Is what it is, man. Is what it is.
Thank you, Andy. Yes, the locks are beautiful. They really are. I don't know. Is Mario joining us tomorrow?
He is.
So you get double locks tomorrow.
As is Rashad Beard. There is just
an
overload.
Yes. And one oddball with short hair. So there's that. All right. We are in the Fight Club. Rob doesn't want me to talk about the one thing, so I'm just going to put it off a little bit because I care about him and his blood pressure. So let's start with Cody Rhodes gets his receipt and smacks The Rock, I think maybe harder than what The Rock was expecting. It was a good.
This was on me. My bad.
Yeah, it was a pretty good smack. Are you okay with how things are progressing? I mean, because they seem to be progressing chalk now that things are on track to the way the fans want it.
Yeah, I am. I mean, listen, you've got what we have expected to happening. It is being told to me in an entertaining way. And unless they just screw the pooch, you are going to get the ending to this, 3.5, 4 year story. And what I think is a satisfying payoff, you have added an unexpected character in corporate The Rock.
Yes.
Which I think is the best way to present that guy. We're going to get Uso v. Uso at WrestleMania, which is, I don't know about you, something I've wanted since they split up a while back. Even if the breakup of the Usos didn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but they've already wrestled. I think it was like 2 weeks ago they wrestled each other.
Yeah, but
so
it's WrestleMania. We see this happen.
We need some stipulations where it becomes, I mean, it needs to be some sort of no holds barred match or something. I don't know. It needs to be something a little bit more.
It's going to be something chaotic.
A cage match would be good.
I think on top of all of that it being WrestleMania 40, and if you go back and you think about 30 and 20 and 10, the milestone WrestleMania, specifically the 10s, they always throw some dramatic, crazy over stuff at. So I told you my theory about 3 weeks ago is the end of this thing is going to look like a full Avengers Endgame moment.
Agreed.
Where everybody who has been hooked in this story, everybody, Seth, Drew, Kevin Owens, everybody who's been involved in this story is going to be involved in the payoff. And Cody Rhodes is the beneficiary. I enjoy how it's going.
I am just curious how they're going to protect The Rock because he hasn't been in the ring in a long time and he's getting older.
That's why he's in attack.
I know,
Roman's
but
gonna do the heavy lifting.
How much slower is he going to look compared to everybody else?
That's the thing. If you really, I would sincerely think about Rock matches, unless you are going back to like early 2000s Triple H when The Rock had hair matches. Rock's matches are never fast-paced. They've never been fast-paced. They have always been slow and methodical and playing to the crowd.
But Cody and Seth's matches are fast.
I don't disagree. That's why Roman does the heavy lifting. Rock tags in. He has his couple of moments. Cody beats the hell out of him. By the way, Rock and Roman are winning that match. That's not a question mark. And I think you give Rock the final blow.
I'm not so certain. You're probably right. But it would be, what a swerve that would be if they didn't win.
If Rock and Roman didn't win?
Yes.
Why,
maybe they lose and then the Authority decides to start the match again. I mean, something like that.
I don't know if you're going to listen, I think there's ways that you can have Dwayne take advantage of his full power as a board of director guy. I think there's ways that you can make that compelling, interesting to the fans and have it increase the stakes in this match. I think if you do, frankly, anything that creates the perspective that the Bloodline are going to get away with it again, you better have a solid payoff ready for Sunday.
All right, I want to talk about a Paul brother, not that one. I want to talk about Logan Paul. Logan Paul is probably going to be facing Randy Orton at WrestleMania for his title. This guy, one by one, is taking on the biggest names in wrestling. He that's all he does is take on the biggest names and holds his own. Will he be world champion someday?
Probably. I don't know that he'll get like a long.
I mean, he's already wrestled Roman. He's wrestled Rey Mysterio. The Ricochet thing was really good. I mean, now he's going to go against Randy Orton. I mean,
You don't need to look at this within the how is he as a wrestler. This isn't a normal dude. He's not here because he's a good wrestler.
but he is a good wrestler.
I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's irrelevant to why he will be where he's going to be. He's where he's going to be because of the fact that he's a dude that posts a clip on YouTube and it gets 2 million views. He is the reason that there is. I hate it. It sickens me. It makes me want to vomit. But he is the reason that there is a big chunk of the next generation of wrestling fans, because this guy could fart into a microphone and it'd get 1 million views on YouTube. He brings that aspect to the game.
I bet you could do the same. Why don't you try it?
Try me, dog. Try me act like I won't do it in this mic just to show you something. Try me. You'll dump it faster than I will fart into a microphone.
Yeah, well, I'll dump it, but the stream will get to see it. So there's that. I think it's an amazing feat what he's been able to do, whether you like him or not, and how good he is at what he's doing. And I also am curious, have you ever tried Prime before?
No, and I'm not going to.
You wouldn't even give it a shot?
No.
I mean, it might be good.
No,
I mean, a lot of people seem to drink it.
No one okay, let me put it this way. I know a lot of people my age who have tried it, and not one of them has had a positive review of it. And these are people who could not care less one way or the other about Logan Paul or anything else. It's just an overly sugary kids drink that they throw, some vitamins into. It's Hawaiian Punch with vitamins in it.
I like Hawaiian Punch.
Out of 2. But again, a lot of people my age I've talked to have tried it, and it's just not good from what I've been told. And also, I'm not going to do anything that gives him $1 short of watching wrestling.
I just want to. I'm not trying to do a thing that you would do here, but people your age are not in the demo of people who drink it. It's like people 20 years younger. So
sitting here arguing.
Anybody out there, text line 71307 or on the stream, has anyone out there ever tried Prime before? I'm just curious.
Arguing that it's a failed product. It's obviously wildly. They have already lost a lawsuit and had to pay out money because of how bad it is for you, yet it continues to be sold in cases around the world. I'm not arguing it's a bad product in terms of its profitability. I'm saying it tastes bad.
I don't drink energy drinks because it's a bad move for me.
I don't either.
Yeah. I see the results of those every day and I'm like, yeah, I can't, if I bounce like that, it's going to be bad. So I can't do that. All right. Mercedes Moné made her debut last night on AEW.
Alerts, man.
Well, that's just too bad. She is now the CEO. So she's no longer the boss. She's a CEO. And people were chanting CEO. Aside from the fact that we already knew that was going to happen, Bayley, Naomi, and Tamina all were there to watch it happen. And also, on those notes, Monday Night Raw showed a picture of Mommy with her real-life boyfriend, who just happens to be a buddy of some people, and is in AEW. Can we possibly, is it worth it if it were to happen, see a crossover at some point between AEW and WWE?
I would love a Forbidden Door, and it's obviously much more likely to happen with who out of the picture permanently and for good, because I do think that Hunter Hearst Paul Levesque Helmsley is a dude who is much more about what's best for wrestling than what's best, in my opinion. So I think there's the potential for a Forbidden Door crossover way down the line. And I also think that would be very good for wrestling if it was to happen. The only problem I think you're going to have is whether or not he does what's best for business or wrestling. At the end of the day, WWE being taken over by TKO, their branding is their most important thing. So I don't see a way in which they do this. And as the mega of the two powers, I don't see a way in which they book a show where any of their highlight wrestlers eat an L to somebody who's not from the company.
I think I really broke it this time. I didn't accidentally mute it with my elbow, but I was going to play some VKM saying you're fired, but I did not.
You little weirdo.
James on the stream says Britt Baker versus Mercedes Moné would be great for the crowd chant. It has potential to be a great match, but when's the last time you saw Britt Baker? I think she might be injured. I'm guessing.
Honestly, don't know.
She's been all over the place. She's been like singing at concerts and stuff, but yeah, I like the idea that they're not afraid to show people from other companies and they're not pretending like those don't exist, because this is like, you thought you went through the golden age of wrestling, but this might possibly be. It definitely has had a renaissance, and it's pretty good. Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal are going to fight again, but it's going to be a boxing match because they're boxers now. Did you know that, Rob? Did you know that? Did you know that? They can't see, well, some can see the eye movement, but yeah, they're boxers now.
You should know your role and shut your mouth.
So you're saying that Nate Diaz and Jorge can't box?
I'm saying boxing is part of what they do. They are not boxers yet. Could they be? Yes. Yes, they could be boxers, but they are not boxers.
Two guys who are not boxers boxing, does that make it?
Why are they not doing this as an MMA fight? Why? What's the point?
Because they want to box.
You know why? Because these guys come over and they chalk it up as an easy half-ass payday and they insult a sport to do it because they don't care.
Speaking of that, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, because, we're running out of time, and I'm not going to skip it.
What are we doing?
Because there's some rules changes. Rob, do you want to go over the rules changes? I mean, will you let the crowd that's listening right now, the Fight Club crowd, know what the rules for this fight between 57-year, I don't know if you knew he was
he's 57!
57-year-old Mike Tyson. I can't play You Must Chill now because my things broke. Versus Jake Paul. So what are the rules, Rob?
Headgear and 18-ounce gloves.
What does that mean as far as glove? What is the normal glove?
Padding in 'em.
What's the normal glove that boxing? Okay, so 2 more ounces makes that much of a difference.
Yes, it does.
Why?
Yes, it does. It's because those 2 ounces are it's 2 ounces of padding in the front of the glove. It's up here. It's the part where you hit the other person with. And they're both going to wear headgear, which obviously is to keep Mike from spinning Jake's head around in a circle. Hey, Jake. Hey, it's your bud, Rob. If you are going to charade, no, stop it.
No, I got it fixed. I'm more excited about that.
Jake, if you are going to try to sell me that you are a real boxer, and if you're going to fight a man who is 57 years old to prove it.
I'm watching on the screen. I feel less like you're pointing right at me while you're doing it if I do it that way. Go ahead.
If you were going to try to convince me that you're a real boxer and you're going to fight a 57-year-old man to do it,
he's 57.
Then don't be Why are you wearing headgear, Jake? Why are you demanding more padded gloves, Jake? Is it because you know that you're not a real boxer and you're going to get your head popped off like a rock'em sock'em robot by a 57-year-old man?
Dude.
Don't be a Jake. Fight him. Put on 16 ounces, take off the headgear, make it a 10-round fight, and fight him. If you're a boxer and you're going to fight him, but knock off the bull.
So my question for you is, how much torque, impact, power does this take away from Mike Tyson? The bigger gloves. This is a legitimate question. I'm asking a boxing question from a notable boxing expert. How much power does this take off of Mike Tyson? Have you seen the training videos?
It doesn't take power away from Mike, but it puts cushion between that power and Jake's rib cage. That's the point. That's why heavier gloves are used for, these are sparring gloves. These are the gloves you put on when you're going to go spar and you don't want to hurt a guy. These are the gloves that you wear. This is a practice scenario. He is sparring.
All right. First of all, we've seen Tyson hurt people while sparring. Some guy with the last name Brown, who I hear has an awesome head of hair, unlike his brother, says Tyson wins by decision. We all know what's going to happen. We do, but here's the thing. Mike Tyson is that guy that oops, forgot he was supposed to hold back. Oops, forgot he wasn't supposed to knock the guy out. Oops, ends Jake Paul's boxing, quotation marks according to Rob, career by knocking his butt out. Don't you want to see, if anybody's going to end this experiment, this thing that you absolutely despise with all your being, Mike Tyson is the guy to do that.
Right, which is why Jake said headgear and padded gloves.
Even with the headgear.
Like
Even with the headgear. My money, if I were to bet, which I don't because we see what happens, which is why I have to buy Rob a lunch, although he still hasn't signed. How many people are betting that Tyson wins this?
Right now, just so we're all clear, Mike Tyson.
Every one of us.
Mike Tyson is a 3.5 to 1 underdog.
Oh, have they told him yet?
Jake Paul.
Have they told him that?
Is a 5 to 1 favorite. You've got to bet 100 to win 325 if you take Mike. You've got to bet 500 to win 1 on Jake Paul. This whole thing is once again scripted to go. You want to know what happens? I'm going to tell you. Jake Paul is going to win a decision. He's going to win a decision. Why? He wouldn't do it if he couldn't win a decision. Why? Because if he loses to a man who is 57 years old, then nobody's going to give a damn about his next fight. And here's the fun part, America. You already should not. Hey, Nick, what do you have to say about it?
What are we doing?
I just want to say that, in high school, when I first started playing football, my football number was 57. I just want to say that. It's a good number.
I want a good, clean fight. Don't punch Jake in the head, chest, ribs, arms, stomach, or torso. Outside of that, let's get it on.
Tyson's going to break him accidentally, and it's going to be awesome.
I hope so. I hope I'm wrong. But this is set up.
I'll let you know since you're not going to be watching it. I'm definitely going to be watching because I have to pay for it.
It's going to be all over my Twitter feed. It's going to be unavoidable. I'm just saying it should be avoided. Back after this to wrap up the show. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
We're being quiet now. We're going to a calm place.
Trying to find my Zen.
What would be your Zen music? What's that music that calms you down? What music calms down Rob Brown?
You want to know what I found the other day that's absolutely working for me right now? I'm a white noise guy, right? Like not white noise, not like static white noise, like background scene music, like jungle music or like a thunderstorm on the beach music.
I got you. That's not
Talk about?
That's not music though.
All right, not music. That's my Zen, but I found one the other day on Spotify that I'm addicted to right now. It's Jurassic Park Jungle, right? So it is a jungle soundtrack with dinosaur noises off in the distance. And dude, I don't know why, but I put that on and I just fall into it. It's incredible.
Because you're a dinosaur guy, so that probably helps you sleep, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have Dish Network, and they have something called Dishscapes, and they have stuff like that with background noises. The problem is they have abrupt background noises. It's nice and calm, and then suddenly something jumps in there, and it just immediately wakes me up.
No, I can't do that. This one's good because the scary dinosaur noises, they're way off in the distance. And it's like the ones that are closer to you are like the sauropods, the plant eaters from Jurassic Park. It's really cool. Yes, you did, James. Thank you for getting that. It wasn't a good Mills Lane impression, but I appreciate you picking up on that.
It was more like a claymation Mills Lane impersonation. All right, time to ask Rob what the X is going on. And I thought we'd start out with something that might take him to that calm place. Michael Caine is Xing.
Michael Caine. I don't know if it's because of this, but I hope it is. There is a clip going around. All right, let me start this by prefacing it and saying that A Muppet Christmas Carol is the greatest Christmas movie that's ever been made. Hands down, not a question. Muppet Christmas Carol is to millennials what It's a Wonderful Life is to the baby boomers. Okay. Every year we go home to go see the Madre. We got to watch It's a Wonderful Life.
By the way, Scrooged was that movie for
Scrooge
me.
is great.
Yeah.
Bill Murray's fantastic in Scrooge. I don't disagree.
It's more Carol Kane.
Scrooge is a fun, enjoyable Christmas movie. Muppet Christmas Carol, somehow, despite having Rizzo the Rat and Gonzo as your primary narrators, it is still
why you got dish Gonzo?
I'm not. If anything, I'm propping up Rizzo because Rizzo's the best. With Gonzo and Rizzo the Rat as the narrators, it's not like, oh, it's a fun Christmas movie. Oh, it is a good cinematic movie. It is a good movie, top to bottom, up to down. The music is perfect. The acting's great. And my favorite thing is Michael Caine treats the Muppets as if they are Shakespearean caliber actors. That's what makes that movie so damn good, is that Michael Caine talks to Kermit the Frog the same way he would if he was on stage with Marlon Brando. It's unbelievable. I love it.
Okay, he is Xing because today is his birthday. How old do you think he is?
Happy birthday, Michael Caine. Michael Caine is 87.
He is 91.
Attaboy, Michael.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is Pi Day.
It is, isn't it? Happy Nerd Day, everybody. It is 3/14, a.k.a. Pi Day. And of course, all of you nerds understand the importance of the mathematical constant that is the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, the unending infinite number that is pi.
3.14 infinity.
Don't be lazy. Don't be lazy.
I don't remember what the next number is. So
I can just get to 3.14159 and then I'm out.
Oh, there you go. So you remember that part. I used to know it, a pretty good ways. All right. The next thing that's Xing is Bobby Wagner.
Signed, but is Bobby Wagner not retired?
No, he led the Seahawks in tackles last year.
That's right.
And he just signed with Washington. All right.
Dude, Dan Quinn's building a defense, dude.
He is.
That defense is going to be good, bro.
He absolutely is. All right. James Franklin is Xing.
James Franklin is Xing because If James Franklin doesn't win at least one of the 2 Big Ten games this year, James Franklin's gone.
No, he has accused the Philadelphia Eagles of tampering.
James Franklin did.
Yes, of tampering with the Saquon Barkley deal.
Penn State head coach James Franklin said that the Eagles general manager Howie Roseman spoke directly to running back Saquon Barkley during the negotiating period, which is tampering per NBC. It is likely the NFL will investigate this. Dude, if that turned out to be true and they killed off that contract, it might be the funniest thing that's ever happened.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that that Saquon didn't play for Vanderbilt or for Penn State. So why does James Franklin care?
Let's see. He played. Yeah, I think Saquon did go to Penn State.
Did he go to Penn
I'm
State?
99%
It's been a while, and maybe he did, but okay.
Yeah,
All right, so
finished his career as Penn State's all-time rushing touchdown leader with 43 and total touchdown record holder with 53.
All right, for some reason I thought he went somewhere else. Okay, so now it makes sense, or does it? I mean, maybe you need to worry about beating Ohio State and Michigan and the new teams that are coming into the Big Ten, and not be worrying about the NFL unless you believe you're about to lose your job and you're going to end up in the NFL. I don't know. That could be what he's doing. But he's talking. All right, finally, the last thing that's Xing that we have time for is Chase Young.
I'm going to assume he's going to the Washington Commanders.
No.
Oh, okay.
He's, as we talked about yesterday, he's interviewing with the Panthers today, and it's got him trending, especially in this area, because I want to see him on the Panthers. I do, and yeah, I have bias, obviously, but I want to see him on the Panthers because he's a pretty good player.
He's a phenomenal player, and I would not push back against that at all, especially if you could get him and Jadeveon Clowney on the other side would be spectacular. I don't know if in the 3-4 it would be as effective as the 4-3, but it would free up the linebackers a little bit for sure. Hey, the show's over. It's time to go. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. We're back tomorrow with the Friday edition. Rashad Beard will be here to talk. Speaking of the devil, the Carolina Panthers with us. Look forward to that. And, of course, we get weird on a Friday. So, come back and do that with us. For the great one.
Yeah, because we didn't do that today. Yeah, we didn't get weird.
Now, Fridays are exceptional. Just remember.
Nobody's perfect, but I am very, very close.
We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Yeah! He's 57.
It's pretty wild. A reflection out on the street hit a flash of light, and it just landed right on me. As it should be,
I said he's 57?
No, just now. I wish it would have did it at that exact moment. Maybe we can time that somehow next time.
Ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly.
No, you don't.
Oh, and you're Mary Tyler Moore. Oh, man.
How many people, when that song came out, knew who Buddy Holly or Mary Tyler Moore was? And they did a Happy Days video. And how many people knew Happy Days at that point?
Happy Days. When I was in high school, my family took me to Europe.
It was a European vacation.
It was. We did London, Paris, Lucerne, Switzerland, Munich, Germany. And
The 1%er lifestyle.
While we were there, while we were in London, we got to go see a play at a famous theater. I don't know what it is, but it was like one that I should remember having been at. Anyway, the play we ended up seeing was the play about Buddy Holly, and it sent me down a Buddy Holly kick that I have been on ever since.
You know, everyone remembers Buddy Holly, but they just totally dissed the Crickets. And Buddy Holly would not have made it where he was without the Crickets.
Technically.
Wow. Okay, if you say so. Well, I don't think the Crickets were on the plane, so I guess who won?
Wow.
I know that was mean.
Wow.
I know that was mean, but
Too soon, Lonzo.
You think so?
Too soon.
When was the day the music died? I don't know. Let me go listen to some.
Too soon.
I keep wanting to say Bob McLean, and I know that's not what it is. Who wrote Bye Bye Miss America Fly? Don McLean. Yeah, it's just, from the Clan McLean. Yeah. Which Bob McLean is probably a part of also. So that's what it was.
1959.
See, you heard that, Stephen, and I thought he was going to say when I was a young warthog. But, you go where you go, I go where I go.
All right, dudes and dudettes, you're all spectacular people. Thanks for hanging out. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow. Tell your friends about us, all those other love, fun things that I say at the end. Goodbye.
Wow.